Hello, Arthur.
Hello, lads. How's it going?
I went to Ibiza recently.
You met your idol?
Ocean Beach, Ibiza.
When he comes out, right, it's genuinely like they've just got him out the freezer at the back, give him a slap and just like pushed him out, and he's just like stumbling around everywhere going, yo, what you here for? You having a good time, yeah?
Went to go watch the F1 movie. That was pretty sweet, though. There's actually like a funny scene. Lewis Hamilton is the producer. So whips back his hair and looks sexually at the camera. And you can just imagine him setting that up.
If you were stripped butt naked now, nothing on you, and someone just clicked their fingers and you went back 500 years, how would you prove you're from the future?
I'm going to create a plane and electricity.
Okay, explain how that works.
Yeah. Copper.
Which they don't know what is.
Do you know what the Bronze Age was, mate? I'd guarantee you I'd get further in life than you guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Have you guys seen the poop crews up to their knees in like human piss and shit?
Obviously, I haven't seen it. Why would you not just piss and shit over the side?
People were pissing, but because of the way the cruise liners were, they were pissing and it was
it's
blowing
lower
back
deck.
down. What kind of science experiments could you conduct where you could be like, I understand everything at a very simple level?
But I don't. This is why, if there was a zombie apocalypse, kill me. Oh my God, I've actually cracked it. You could say, get in that boat, I'll show you where is. Has anything pissed you off in the last week?
Spinoza, he didn't believe in free will.
Bit weird.
So you disagree with this?
Do you ever feel like sometimes, this might sound a bit weird, do you ever feel like sometimes, like, you know when you're doing like a rock hard, you know the rock hard shits which hurt? Do you ever think like sometimes like they're coming out sideways? So like how big?
Yeah, I do actually think that sometimes.
I do want to start with a question, by the way, that I saw on Twitter earlier.
Go on.
Are we starting now? Is it?
Yeah, well, we just go in, mate.
Yeah, thanks 50k by the way.
Yeah.
Well, try and hit 1 million now.
You might have seen it. Ricky Gervais answered it. It was...
I don't know if I have.
If you were stripped butt naked now, nothing on you, and someone just clicked their fingers and you went back 500 years, how would you prove you're from the future?
Whoa.
I'll tell them what happened in 100 years' time.
They'd have to wait 100 years and they'd be dead by then.
So his answer was, I've got no fucking idea, because first of all, I don't know how anything works, which is true. Like he said, I've just put that in the fridge. They go, what's a fridge? You go, I don't fucking know. I don't know how it works. It's just cold and it gets...
Yeah, how would you prove it?
And then also, he said, they'll think you're a witch, so they'll just burn you.
Exactly.
No, here's what you do.
Here we go.
You just said, tell them what happens in 100 years.
Think about it.
And
everyone will be dead.
We'll wait in 100 years.
Logically, all right.
The only way to do it is to predict events. So 500 years would take us to when?
1,550, 1500.
Yeah, so you'd have to say like who the next king would be, but I don't know who that would be.
But it also won't happen.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have time to research.
I'd need to know who like the next monarch or whatever. But even then, that could just be a lucky guess. And also, isn't that actually that's stupid? Because surely you'd know who the next king is based on who died.
How long does circumcision go back?
Okay, that's a strange question.
Circumcise yourself.
What?
But it is. There's no answer. Is to how would you prove it?
I know how. I told you. So
you didn't.
500 years. No, I'm going to tell you now. A new version. 500 years ago in England, they were speaking ye old English, not current English.
So they don't even understand.
So, wait,
exactly. Still burn you. They think you're a witch.
You could understand.
Just teach them Googling.
It's like how Spaniards can speak Catalan, right? And they still understand.
No, they can't.
No, they can understand Catalan. Sorry.
I don't think most Spaniards can.
Of course they can.
Only bits.
It's very minute differences. It's like an American and English. It's like sidewalk and the pavement.
Yeah, but I think I think you underestimate just how different Old English is to
No, but what I'm saying
English.
is I can guarantee you would sort of get a gist of what they're saying.
I think you'd struggle still.
I think we'd understand them a little bit. I don't think it's that different. I think we'd understand them a little bit.
Also, they'd all be shitting in the street. And you'd be going, oh, get a toilet. And they'd go, what's that? And you go, I don't
I wonder.
Sir, what year is this?
Here's what you could do.
Burn him.
You could say, go on for you, lads.
Also,
go on for you, lad.
Also, you're butt naked, no money, no nothing. They're going to think you're a freak.
I walk up to the tree, the apple tree, and go, watch this. Apple falls to the floor, I'll be like gravity.
And they'll go, what the fuck is gravity?
They wouldn't know at that point. You have to prove what it means.
And then I'd go...
You can't just go gravity, because that word to them doesn't exist yet.
And then go E equals MC squared.
Yeah.
How are you measuring the speed of light in the 1500s?
With my brain. And then I'd go, I'm going to create a plane. And electricity.
Okay, explain how that works.
Yeah, you don't know the basics.
Well, obviously...
Explain to me how electricity works,
First
Theo.
you need copper. Then you need...
Which they don't know what is.
Don't know what copper.
Do you know what the Bronze Age was, mate?
All right, but they won't...
Copper.
Okay, but they won't understand what you're saying.
They know what copper is.
How do you know that's what the word they used?
Because it's been around for donkey's years.
I think you're on the right track with science because
you have to go scientific.
Observations with predictions of historical events is more difficult because, like you say, you might break the chain of causation. What kind of science experiments could you conduct where you could be like, I understand everything at a very simple level?
But I don't. I don't understand anything.
Here's one.
This is why, if there was a zombie apocalypse, kill me. Because I cannot restart the human race.
How do you prove it?
So what about germ theory of disease, right? We all know that germs cause...
Have you not noticed why it's been...
The German theory of disease.
He's come up with an actual theory,
So you know germ theory of disease, the idea that germs cause illness.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, they used to think it was bad air, all this kind of stuff. Bad air. So you could turn around to them and say, listen, get to hospitals. You've got hospitals right now. You do a lot of surgeries. A lot of people die. I think that disease is caused by these tiny little microorganisms, like tiny little... invisible to the naked eye, little creatures that are causing your illness. And there's a simple way to test this. You in this hospital, get all your instruments and stuff, wash your hands before you do anything, and boil all your instruments every time before you use it. This one, continue as usual. And I bet you this is a way of testing that I'm right, because the ones that boil and wash, the number of people that die from surgeries, the rate of death will be by insane amounts lower.
It still might kill you.
But you're dead by this point because they've gone, well, you're not proving that you're from the future yet.
It'd be about a year. You'd be like, give it a year.
That's remarkably better than Theo's idea.
No, but the issue with that is...
You're on the right track.
The issue with that is they'll just think, he's a clever doctor who's thought of... Because the first person to come up with that was just clever. That didn't prove they were from the future.
That wouldn't prove that you're actually from the future. It just say that you're very scientific.
Yeah, but in a year's time, you're now respected. So hopefully you build up something. You can get some clothes now, and then you can buy a house, and you can start working out. And you can start working out.
I know that point. But that's still even if you had the most amazing career in science from being more knowledgeable than anyone else back in that era.
Yeah.
That still would never prove that you were ever from the future.
Absolutely, but it would give people good rounds.
I'd invent penicillin.
To believe
they're off.
What?
I'd invent penicillin.
But just leaving.
And I'd invent the car.
No, but how would you invent the car?
But they could just think they could just think you're a great inventor.
Yeah, exactly. That you wouldn't prove you're from the future.
All you do is jump the queue from whoever invented it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I'd play the long game. I'd write everything down I know in a book. Yeah, and I'll say, I'll meet someone.
It's a Sudoku.
I'll meet someone in a museum. I'll say, put this book here. Just trust me on this. And they're like, fine, whatever.
And they go, what's a museum?
And then I'll say, everything in this book.
No, you took everything historical.
You put it in a vault. Everything in this book, you must open this in the year 2025.
I've got it. No, I've got it. Oh my God, I've actually cracked it. You could say, right, get me that boat. I'll show you where America is. This land that no one's ever heard of. And I'll prove to you the dimensions of it, everything. Tom, just off the top of my head, you'll know it. And you'll know that they'll have compasses, surely. So you'd know which way to go. You just get a good fucking
go west,
captain.
Just go west.
And just say like we're gonna go to this. We're gonna go over the sea for fucking however long, and I guarantee you, there's this land there.
But you still might die on the way of scurvy.
Yes.
They might just as well be like, he's already done this like lap once.
Yeah, but America hadn't been, or the rest of the world say, okay, well, if you don't believe America, then let's go and find fucking, I don't know,
but they might be like, he's a seafarer. He's been there. Yeah. Come back. Now he's going off from the future.
They think you're hustling them. Sorry. They'd be like, he's obviously done this on his own. Now he's trying to prove that he's...
No, because who was doing that on their own without telling anyone?
Yeah, it's true. You would die.
Yeah, well, you just haven't found the right people to tell.
Don't be so stupid. You can't just click go on your boat back then. You need a crew.
Yeah.
You couldn't go on your own.
That's what I'm saying. It's such a crazy idea for you to just presume that you could do that.
Exactly. So then that would prove, look, I am from the future. This land exists in my time.
You're presuming that you can just get a boat.
Yeah. This is the way that I'll find America.
Yeah. No, because back then they were still trying to discover things and go on their boats looking for shit.
Yeah, but you just go, right, we're going that direction for...
Here's what you could do.
15 days seafare, and then... we'll find a bit of land, and that's America.
But then you
could be going anywhere in the world and finding land at that point. You've not proved that's America. You could say what type
of people are going to be there. There's going to be...
the Native American, the Native Indians will be there.
Yeah.
You could literally... I reckon that would work.
But also you could...
That's a good one.
Similarly, you could go to somewhere like Bath. And then say, dig here, mate. I bet you find some ancient Roman ruins.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know where to dig.
I know where to dig.
No, right. So you reckon Bath right now looks like Bath in the 1500s. So you go over there.
Well, Bath's one of the oldest cities, so you'd go there. There would be Bath.
Yeah, but all the houses that have been,
way it is.
all the houses that have been constructed now in the way that the structure of the city works is not how it would have looked back.
No, I know, but I'd find a field and I can get.
No way, that would never work. It would never work.
No.
Oh, it'd be tough.
Because you'd have to know the geographical location right now and how that compares to how it looked back then.
What I do.
You have to know
America, you know where it is. You know the overall kind of landscape of it. You could say enough about America without being absolutely specific to convince them. I know this place.
And I say to them, in a couple of 100 years, watch out for Napoleon.
No, I don't like it.
Dynamite. Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay, right.
And then I'd also say, make sure on Baker Street, I'll be like, just so you know, I wouldn't advise building all the houses out of wood on that street. I wouldn't do it.
But that's fucking 160 years down the line.
Yeah.
I think, though.
Yeah.
Does it?
Just FYI, guys, if you're going to carry on constructing around here, probably don't build these out of wood, just in case in the next 150 years they set alight.
There's a great fire.
Yeah.
I think discovery is the best thing. Early discoveries proving you know the world. Oh my God, I'm so
that still takes a while for you to be proved right, though. You're still,
a couple
still
of weeks.
month.
Long game, innit?
Yeah, but you might be dead at that point. You might not even make it to America.
No, we wouldn't die from scurvy because I'd know how to combat that.
Oranges.
Okay, right.
And I'll be like, you all keep dying on.
That's two.
You all keep dying on these boats because of fucking all the shit in your mouth. I know how to stop that because in the future we eat fruits and it's the acidity.
What I don't understand is though, surely back in there, like eating fruit and veg was more common than it is now because they didn't have any preservatives and things. Like you just eat what grows out of the ground.
I don't know, to be honest.
Yes, that's true, but they had left. As Arthur said, there's less ways of getting rid of the bacteria that would have been on those things. So then you're eating just bad food.
But apple's an apple at the end of the day.
Yeah, true, and that's what you could use for the Newton theory.
Yeah,
all over again. I actually don't think that. I don't think there's a way of.
I've just told you there's a way.
Okay, right, fine.
It would be interesting because I also do think that people believe things a lot more easily back in the day.
Yeah.
So I do think I think society now is very skeptical of a lot of things. And I think you go back and you do one of these things that we go, that wouldn't convince them because I think a lot of people go, fair enough, that's actually pretty sick.
Yeah.
Like you whack out America, germ theory of disease, maybe electricity. I don't know if you could do it.
I'll figure a way.
Something like that.
It's been my life goal to make electricity.
Yeah. Also, I think you get a lot of people being like, yeah, no, fair enough, I believe you.
Also, surely like
and also they might then treat you like a god.
Yeah, you'd be a prophet.
They would.
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
we're
go
probably
down, not even be like a time traveler. You could be like, I'm a prophet. Where no one of this age could possibly know this other than me.
Exactly.
And the only reason I know is because of God.
Do you think we're physically,
and then I'd rule the world.
Do you think we're physically more like in better shape now? Would we be taller?
Yeah.
So I might be seen as a giant.
Physically in better shape than people in the street in 1500s. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, but like Roman soldiers obviously like got good cardio, good strength and that.
It's a bit further back for them though, isn't it?
All right, a medieval soldier probably had good strength.
Yeah, true, actually.
But
I think you'd be surprised at how much stronger you probably are than a lot of soldiers.
I'd create... Oh my God.
Mate,
this is what you do. Lads.
You could say, have you ever heard the Iron Man?
I'll create Iron Man. Now I'll create... Mate, think about it. All these soldiers probably didn't... Working out wasn't a thing. Because you
just set up a gym.
I'm
from the future, guys. This is what we do.
If you want your soldiers to get better, I'd become a medieval tactician.
Gyms were definitely a thing.
No,
they had gyms in ancient Greece.
They did not have gyms.
They would have trained and like...
London. Are you telling me Henry VIII had gyms?
They were aware that lifting weights make you stronger.
No way. I would create a medieval... I'd be a medieval mastermind
PT.
in battle.
So you're
right.
so
you're now a war general on top of
I'm a war general and
you've
PT.
discovered gravity.
And I'd be a nutritionist as well.
So this amazing hypothetical scenario where you go back 500 years in time where you could basically become a prophet, prove to them you're in the future. Your goal is to become a PT.
Yes.
Well, I just find it interesting. I just find it interesting how the whole like stipulation is you get stripped naked, you go back in time, and people go, "Oh my God, it's a girl."
Where's his hair? Where's his hair gone? He's a witch.
It's just a little penis joke, mate.
No, but I would actually, I'd guarantee you I'd get further in life than you guys because if you create, what was the number one thing back there was battle. You had to win wars and battles.
And you know how to do that.
If I became the mastermind behind it,
How are you doing that off the rip though? That means you should know enough now about war
I do.
for you to be teleported back.
You genuinely don't.
I know more about.
I think like a 15-year-old
Medieval war
Alexander
than
the
you do.
Great mogs you on the battlefield.
Yeah.
No way.
Hey guys, I was Arctic Baker at one point. Fucking.
I was number 1 in the world on sabotage.
You've got to remember, you go back in
okay.
time and they'd still be smarter than you. That's your problem.
No, that's just not true, and you know.
You'd end up being a soldier.
Maybe I'm too smart for them.
Yeah. I mean, you've got the same sandals they wore back in then. So.
Little Burke. Burke's back in there. Anyways,
Anyway. Hello, Arthur.
Hello, lads. How's it going?
Good man. How are you?
Not bad. Yeah.
Good.
We have got some special things for you to do today.
Oh, come on.
Not sexual favours. But I
boring.
think we are going to start with our Krabby Corner, which
Ooh.
has anything pissed you off in the last week that you want to put into our Krabby Corner? I've got something.
I have something too. But you can say
I
yours
did
now.
say yes, actually, Tom, as he's the guest. You should let him speak.
No, he
Did I
was
say yeah?
thinking. He was
Thinking,
thinking.
no, it was a
thinking.
pensive.
Yeah, he's quite.
So
a
while he's
thoughtful person.
thinking to get into it, I have one.
Hit me with it.
I think it's people not respecting other people's times and being late for basically no reason at all. I think that's should.
You know for a fact there wasn't no reason at all, and I was very apologetic.
What you said? Sorry,
By the way,
which you called,
by the
and
way,
then
I
just sat
called
down looking at
exactly
me.
what would happen. I said, right, I guarantee you, he comes in, he says, guys, I'm so sorry I'm late, and then just sits straight down.
Well, what else am I going to do? Stand up for
You
it?
should have cried.
Beg for
No, because
forgiveness.
you know that is really annoying.
No, my
Why?
Krabby Corner wasn't even that. My Krabby Corner is line bikes in London have gone so far downhill recently.
Yeah, they need
It
to
is
sort
meant-
that shit
Bearing
out.
in mind,
There's the average pedal amount on line bikes at the moment must be like 1.6.
mate, I was in standstill traffic today. I thought I'll leave the car here. I'll get a line bike. Walk 10 minutes to a line bike. It's got 1 pedal.
Yeah,
Yeah, we understand shit happens, right? But it happens every week for you.
I've
That's
backed the line
fine,
back.
it's ridiculous.
Ever since they brought in the parking spots as well, that's
So annoying.
jarring. When
You know
you're
how
like,
to- you did-
okay, I've got a line back. This is where I need to go.
Yeah.
You get to your destination, and then the nearest parking
Yeah.
spot. is
And
all
the
you have to
auto
do is
detect system for parking is just bugged as well.
Yeah.
No, you just
Never-
click, if you click pause on the line bike, and then it leaves. Pause is 15 minutes, and then at the end of the 15 minutes, it just turns off and say, "Don't do that again."
Yeah, but
Yeah,
my
what's
line
that
bike's
billing
only
you,
got
like
1
20
pedal
quid?
at that point.
No, it's like 10p a minute. I
like
think.
£1 a minute, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's a reduced rate because it's paused. I think it's 10p a minute.
Yeah, anyway, my Krabby Corner is line bikes. They were so. The thing is, there's nothing actually better than a summer ride on a line bike in
Oh, I think you
London.
said something else. Then.
And no one pays for them anymore as well. You know
Yeah.
the beep beep. Them
Yeah.
ones.
I pay for them.
If you roll them, allegedly, if you roll them backwards at the start, like before you do it, they just click on.
That's so annoying.
Yeah,
Yeah, they've gone downhill, mate.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that.
And they're so popular at the minute, they just need to sort their shit out. 'Cause
Yeah.
Should we all compare our line bike stats?
Maybe they've overexpanded. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they got
they
too
got
big
too
for the
big too
boots.
quick.
Should have invested in Lime.
Yeah, that would have been a good investment, to be fair. They must make so much money. I pay for it monthly as well to get, like, I don't know what perks you get. I don't
The Lime Plus.
Yeah, I have Lime extra. Yeah.
It tends to be, it is a lot cheaper, especially like if I cycle from like here back to like where Liv lives, it's like 40 minutes. So it does save me like £5 a go.
But you buy the bundles, right? I buy the bundles as well.
I buy the bundle.
Sometimes.
The minutes bundles that end up being so much
Yeah.
value.
And you also get 30 minutes of like booking instead of 10
Yes,
minutes.
you can book it for half hour, but then you book it, you get there, it's got no pedals.
Yeah. There's how many
Or to be fair, I rode one today with no
pedals or handlebars
no bike seat, but I prefer those ones.
with the through on it. I've done 2,600.1 kilometers.
I don't
Say
know.
that again?
How do you even check?
Just click on the top left of your account.
This is a banger segment. But
Yeah.
People are going to love this.
1,427.
I've done 901 kilometres, 230, but I've only been using it a year.
How many rides?
I've only done 500 kilometers.
I've done 702 rides, 2,600 kilometers.
Interesting. So my distance per ride is way less than yours.
Yeah, but I live further out,
Yeah.
so I got more cycle.
True that.
What's your Krabby Korma TV? Korma? Krabby Korma. I had a massive man curry last night. It's unreal.
Oh, you know what? Delays. So I was supposed to do my FPL forfeit on Friday,
Yep.
and then
But that was delayed by you.
kind of. But it was my little sister obviously lives in Jersey and is going out to Portugal to hang out with one of her mates, and she got the flight to London, but then the flight from London to Portugal got cancelled
Because of the French strike.
2 days because of the French strikes, which may be valid. I'm not saying the strike should come to an end, but
Fucking baguette eating frog.
the delay is so jarring. So I basically had to look after her because obviously she had 2 days in London with
Well, mate,
no one to look after her and stuff.
No, the only
Went to go watch the F1 movie. That was pretty sweet though.
Is it good?
I still need to watch
really
that. Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyable.
Okay,
Exactly.
nice.
I hear that if you're a bit of an overthinking F1 fan, people go
not
like,
as-
it's not that like,
Yeah.
like it's not like possible that you can have that rags to riches and stuff, but
It's like
film.
it's like people
It's
that
a
watch
film.
challenges that were massive tennis fans. And were like, it's not proper.
But I mean, Lewis Hamilton produced it, so you're not like it's inaccurate in a
he did.
sense. It's really
Apparently, he had a massive like input with it, with all the scenes, and he'd be like, "No." I was listening to Martin Brundle. Was on. He does like a podcast on F1, and he was on about it last week, saying there's literally scenes where Lewis would be like, "No, you need to change." When they turn that corner, they're in the wrong gear.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell just by the
Yeah.
sound. That's fucking mad.
They
innit,
weren't
that?
going to have Crofty or Brundle on the and Lewis said
we
you
need them
proper
on.
commentators, otherwise it's not going to.
Yeah,
It's not.
But they are the voice of it. They
Yeah.
needed to be on it. But I think any film, to be honest, Brad Pitt is one of my favourite actors.
Yeah.
I feel like
He's
any
cool.
film he's in, he's really good.
He's a good boy.
There's actually like a funny scene. Me and my sister were like wetting ourselves out. Like, obviously, Lewis Hamilton is the producer. There's a bit where he kind of like gets out of this car. It's like feels a bit slow motiony. He like whips back his hair and looks sexually at the camera, and you can just imagine him setting that up.
Yeah.
Being like,
So
"All
I'm
right,
going to
guys,
get out of this car.
I'm going to get out of this Lambo. You need to catch the glint in my eye." It's like
glint in my eye.
Have you seen that like classic Tarantino one? Like he like wrote the script for a film, wrote in the fact that this guy has a foot fetish.
Oh, with Salma Hayek?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
to
God.
be the actor.
Yeah.
Then he like sucks her toes.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
surely that makes everyone in the room just go, this
It is
he's
when you know
manufactured
when you know he
this.
has a foot fetish. It's really weird how many times people's feet get out in his films. Have you ever noticed?
Yeah.
Like the Hollywood one with Brad Pitt and all that.
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time. There's so many feet in it.
I couldn't get through. I didn't really enjoy that film.
Oh, it's a good film. Like the ending. I'll tell you what about the delay thing
good
though.
story, innit?
The your sister wasn't the only one affected by the airstrikes.
Oh, extra.
No,
And not the correct turn of phrase there.
I think that might be the wrong area.
French airline strikes.
Right.
Union strikes.
Union.
Yeah.
Still didn't save it much, mate. I can't.
They just carpet bombed Heathrow.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. I was in Mallorca on the way back,
how
and
was that?
my flight was delayed by 3 hours. We managed to get on the plane. We're one of the only like three.
That's so bad, though. I hate when they do that. If you're going to delay the flight,
Yeah, take us
delay it. Why'd you get me
Yeah.
on the plane?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
delay
yeah.
Or
it?
just tell us, but it was because they didn't know when they were going to take off, and we were one of like 3 flights to leave Mallorca.
'cause if you get a slot, they go.
We got lucky,
Yeah.
right? But they did say on the flight, like, "Oh, by the way, lads,
Lads.
by the way,
Oh, that's fucking hell. So big for your ass.
They basically were wording it like, be fucking grateful you're leaving Mallorca, but we are going to miss the curfew in London City Airport, so we got to land at Southend."
Oh,
I didn't know London City had a curfew of 10:30.
I didn't know that either.
Not land, so we got taken to Southend, and then we had to
That's
get,
back-to-back trips in Mallorca where
it's been destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
But
he got home.
yeah.
you got home all right.
just
We were the
watched him
dummy run,
disappear.
aren't we? Birmingham flight, yeah, fucking
Send them
hell.
through. Anyway, my fucking taxi back from Southend to mine was 133 quid at midnight. They're like, and they were like, "Don't worry, we've taken all the information. BA will reimburse you." Got an email the next day. They'll reimburse me 50 quid.
That's bad.
How bad is that?
Yeah. But you don't look at your finances, don't matter, does it?
Yeah.
No, but it's at that point. It's a bit. No, it is a bit annoying though because
Yeah, it's very annoying.
You've just made that. You've just made that back in the
Well,
last minute.
imagine not even being on BA. Imagine being on EasyJet. They gave people 25 quid food voucher for their cancelled flight.
that's what we had.
Yeah.
We had a €7 voucher.
Yeah. Was it
When we got
€7?
stuck in, we all got €7 each.
Yeah.
That's all you deserve, to be honest.
Have you guys seen the Poop Cruise thing on Netflix?
Oh, is it
No,
good? Is
I've
it good?
seen it advertised
I
though.
was around George's the other day, and me, George, Arthur, and Chris just ended up watching it, and it's so funny. Like they
Disgusting.
basically
Is this the COVID one or the different one?
Oh, well, did you see that advertised? I do want to watch that.
when
Yeah.
one of the engines sort of like burst into
plumbing.
flames and stuff, and then
Yeah.
shut down the electricity, and they were just in the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America now, if that's what they're calling it.
Yeah.
Didn't Trump change the name?
Yeah.
But yeah, they obviously refrigeration turned off, like the toilets were overflowing, all this kind of stuff. And one of these classic. I mean, you look at the lawyer in it, and he looks like a cartoon lawyer, like big chunky guy, big cigar, and he was like, I was rubbing my hands, and then he looked at the tickets, and the tickets terms and conditions were like, we do not guarantee safe voyage. We do not guarantee
Cheeky, innit?
Wait,
sanitary
seriously?
conditions. We do not guarantee fulfilling and healthy food and all this kind of stuff. And they basically, the ticket terms and conditions were like, we don't guarantee any of this.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were like, up to their knees in like human piss and shit. Obviously boiling hot. They were like
Why
sleeping
didn't
on
they
the
just?
decks.
Obviously,
It's mental.
I haven't seen it. Why would you not just piss and shit over the side?
People were pissing, but because of the way the cruise liners were, they were pissing, and it was like,
It's hit the
blowing
lower
back
deck.
down.
Oh, fuck.
Oh,
They
you
did
hadn't
start
thought of
doing
that.
this, and they got bags to like shit in and stuff, but it's because they were like, they initially shat in it, and then it started overflowing. So like people were like stepping out their rooms, and there was just like,
So great.
I heard about this. I don't understand why they didn't just get like another boat to come get him.
So another boat did come and like was tugging them along, but because it's such a big, heavy boat, that funny enough, there was a cruise that pulled up alongside them, dropped off some like good, like a bit of food and water.
Yeah.
And apparently,
Yeah.
and all the people who are on decks just like taking photos and like filming what they were just doing. They're fuming, like they're sat there. It was
But
like,
why wouldn't you do like 2 boats next to each other, just put a plank and just walk across?
Not covered in shit.
Walk the plank. Whoa! Walk the plank.
Yeah, they had
Then you just got
tugboats
2
in the
boats
back,
that are
but-
smelling like shit, people covered in shit.
Surely that like
How
helicopter
far
or
offshore were they? Could they not swim back?
10 yards.
Nah,
Like surely a helicopter could have come and got.
Ah!
they could have got runs, I guess,
In the harbour.
But I just think they probably still wasn't worth the resources. Like they were a 2-day tug and they had enough food and water. I guess
2
to
days.
survive.
Wait, the Americans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ah, well.
But oh man,
That would have been a lot of
You
shit.
deserve it. Oh, God, imagine the moaning from the
Yeah.
fucking Americans.
Also,
oh,
the stuff they say about cruises, like obviously, you know, they've got like freezers on board for the people that die on them because it's inevitable that on cruises, like people just die.
But heart attacks. and,
But obviously, the freezers stopped working, so they weren't.
no
able to-
way. So they're just like dead bodies getting.
I don't actually know how many people
Defrosted.
died. Maybe it's more of a thing in the like month-long cruises and stuff. But apparently everyone just shags everyone. Like apparently it's mad. It's like one of the
You're
crew,
going booking a cruise straight away.
one of the crews sitting there, mates like telling the story, and she was like, "I woke up and obviously I wasn't in my bed. I was in the chef's bed." They just say it so casually, and apparently like everyone just like
Employees or just
Oh
like,
yeah, the
and
workers.
people
I
like
mean,
people. It obviously because it was too hot to be in the rooms because it was like, you know, on the Gulf of Mexico, so it was really hot. Apparently, people were literally just like shagging on decking in front of everyone.
What?
covered in
Absolutely.
food.
it takes 2 days for humans to
Yeah,
like,
just-
animalistic.
I don't care.
From what it
gonna
sounded
die.
Like, from what it sounded like, everyone was shagging across the cruise anyway. Like, if you work on a cruise and you've got access to cams, apparently, like any one time, you can just see multiple people banging. It's mental.
Jesus.
Jeez.
You need to go work on.
What cruise was this? I can avoid it.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's all cruises
Yeah, I have heard cruises are just shagfest, but
But is it Shagfest?
and Deathfest.
Like,
I didn't know that.
It's a lot of old people.
Is it into shagging? Is it like rooms from rooms, or is it just like you as a
I
couple that's
don't know.
shagging?
Well,
my mate's just been on one with his missus and his family.
Okay,
and his
right,
family.
yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
he said they are like little towns. Like there's,
Yeah.
he said you wouldn't. They did get on and off because it was like a Scandinavian one, so they explored whatever. But he said you would never need to leave. The amount of different he said we didn't even see the whole cruise while we were there. There's that much to do, and they're
Yeah,
that
exactly.
big.
Have you ever
Yeah.
seen the pictures of Titanic next, like a modern cruise?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fraction of the size.
Yeah, it's insane.
Mate, I think Jeff Bezos' yacht is bigger than the Titanic.
Jeff
Yeah.
Bezos. Is that his daughter?
You know, Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos.
Fucking hell! You're an idiot.
See how much he spent on his wedding?
No, I don't
600
care.
mil.
Oh yeah.
It's like 500 mil.
Yeah.
Did he rent out the whole of Venice or just like a big chunk of it?
He rent, yeah, I
I
think he
saw
rent,
loads of protests in Venice about
well, he did
it.
rent out Venice.
Yeah.
I think he
The
rent-
whole of
genuinely,
Venice.
I think he locked off
that, Will.
at least a segment of it, right? Because that's what I saw.
No, he rented the biggest yacht in the world and parked it in Venice and said everyone goes on the yacht to stay away from like the prying eyes.
Wow.
I don't know why Kylie Jenner was there though. Is she mates with Jeff?
don't know. Hot take.
high profile
Venice is
invite,
so
isn't it?
overrated. Have you guys ever been?
And
what?
it
Yeah, it's
stinks,
cool.
doesn't it?
It stink. I went in my second
Are you so
year.
overrated
I
or
went-
underrated?
Overrated.
Oh, okay, yeah, it is overrated.
Not
that was
Venice
a bit-
yacht.
But it's
Jeff
nice,
Bezos'
though.
wedding.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it's definitely,
Just like 2 key words.
it's definitely a novel experience to go, but I probably wouldn't go back. Like, the fact
Yeah,
I've
it's cool
been
to go
there,
once.
like,
It's, it's an interesting place to look at, but
Rooms are tiny.
yeah. Quite old.
I
Not have to stand up.
I didn't
and
get
all.
go in
bathroom.
summer.
You can't build elsewhere, can you?
I just went
can't
bathroom. I
Just
had to
walk
run upstairs in my towel to go toilet. I mean, for a shower and toilet.
There's Jess.
Also, hasn't he learned his
Is that
lesson?
Oprah?
Getting married.
She was actually his ex-wife was actually the mastermind behind Amazon. That's why she got half.
Really?
Was she the
Yeah, she
Orlando
actually was.
Bloom
Yeah,
there as well.
she was the one who basically did it, or he just took credit.
Kardashians?
I mean, it looks great. Regardless, you can't smell it through the photos. So
Well, the
Orlando
exact
Bloom
cost
did it.
of the wedding.
Has Orlando Bloom met Jeff?
How would I know that?
I said this to Jodie. I said this.
Is that the
about
guy
Katy
from
Perry?
Casino Royale?
But do you not think?
No.
On the left?
No, that's
not Daniel
That's
Craig.
Dolce. Domenico Dolce.
I'm not,
And that's Gabbana.
no, the bad guy, Le Chiffre.
Le Chiffre. Oh,
Is that not him on the left?
No.
not.
The fashion designer.
That looks like him.
Do you not think though? Like, do you reckon like Jeff? Right? Do you reckon his like schoolmates were there?
I don't know.
Do you reckon he still has mates from when he was young?
Couple, maybe.
Do you reckon he's got a WhatsApp group with his boys from home?
Mind it.
I love how you ask these questions like we can answer them.
But what do you think? I'm asking your opinion.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
Do you think Jeff Bezos has a WhatsApp group with his mates from home?
Because did you see on Twitter, it was kind of going viral, like Dua Lipa went on holiday with her mate, and someone quote tweeted it like, what happens on these holidays? Like, if all her mates are just normal, regular,
which they are.
office jobs, 9 to 5s, whatever, and...
Does she pay for everything?
Yes.
Pay for everything?
Of course she does, yeah.
Definitely.
Multi-millionaire, yeah.
What's
Definitely.
that Drake lyric? Like, something like, oh, all my boys know that, like,
Go on.
I pay for everything. Or something.
Yeah, I think you would go with that.
Now, direct
Not the
one?
lyric.
If you were Dua Lipa, would you take all your mates on holiday?
Yeah, if I had their level of money, I would do that. A lot of footballers do it, don't they? Like
Yeah.
they
Otherwise, you just can't hang out with your mates.
You wouldn't be sitting there like chip in.
exactly. Yeah, but it's nothing to you, is it? You just pay for the
And
whole
you pay me
thing.
back for the yacht.
I don't think I've told you this actually.
Oh, here we go.
I went to Ibiza recently.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, I didn't know
that. Oh, yeah, this is actually the first
Wait,
pod.
you
that-
met your idol?
Yeah.
You met Billy Idol.
Wayne Lineker. He's absolutely he's mental by the way.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like when he comes out, right, it's genuinely like they've just got him out the freezer at the back, give him a slap and just like pushed him out, and he's just like stumbling around everywhere going, yo, what you here for? You having a good time, yeah.
The aura is crazy because the whole place just looks at him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Like, he steps out and
and he
everyone's
just
like,
goes round. Oh mate, it's fucking mental. And so we were there for like my mate's stag. He got married in May. Do you
remember when
he
he
had a stag before?
Do you remember when Tom had a go at all of us for going on Ethan's... No, who's stag?
Yes.
Yeah,
Ethan-
Bezos.
Yeah,
Oh.
I agree. I don't think it's a stag, but I think it was said as a stag, so their wives and girlfriends
course.
were okay
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
lads'
yeah,
holiday,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, he comes over to our table. And he's like, oh, what are you here for, lads? And he's like, oh, it's his stag, whatever. And he goes over to my mate Joe. He's just like stumbling over. He's like, it's the worst decision you'll ever make, getting married. And he's like,
Fucking hell.
yeah, cheers for that, Wayne. Cheers, mate. He's like,
Has he been married? Has Wayne Lineker been married
no,
previously?
I don't know.
Or has he been
You know
a
what's
bachelor his
weird? Have you
entire
seen the
life?
photos of him before he's had the surgery? Like what he looks like, what he looked like as like a 40-year-old bloke.
What surgery?
He's got kids, yeah. He's got.
Look at Wayne Lineker before surgery. It's nuts.
Yeah, he used to
I
be
don't
quite
know.
good looking.
What surgery are you on about?
He's been married once.
His face and that, he's had
much
loads
work
done.
Do you
I
like
do-
Wayne Lineker before surgery?
Have you ever seen the video of him being like 10 things he can't live without? It's probably
That's him. That top one on the top left. That's
yeah. He
nuts.
used to be really quite good looking.
Wow.
It looks like Gary.
Well, yeah, his
they're
brother,
brothers.
innit?
Anyway, it's the video is he's like going like one, and it comes up on the screen with get up, Wayne Lineker,
I have seen it.
and it's like
Is it when they jump in the pool
Get up
as
with-
well?
Me when Wayne
no,
Lineker
it's
falls
just
over.
him, and it's like 10 things
Yeah.
you can't live without. It's like vinegar,
Right.
HP sauce, worldies, testosterone injections. Mate, it's the
Epstein.
funniest thing ever.
Oh,
He did, didn't he?
There you go, that one there.
No, he says it's listed
Look,
right there.
look at this.
Oh, I have seen this.
Ibiza.
Beef parties.
Cream.
with the apostrophe on the eggs.
Sauce. Nando's, yeah.
Yeah, good shout.
Vinegar.
So random.
Instagram. Testosterone. Nothing about family.
Yeah.
And there's a clip of him on a.
Got HP sauce above, like.
His family.
Yeah.
He's on this. There's a clip of him on a podcast not long ago, and they're like, "So Wayne, you're like,
Yeah, what do you do?
you're a
What do you-
successful businessman. Like, what do you do day to day?" And he goes,
I basically do nothing
I do nothing.
all day.
They're like, "Oh, what? Really?" He's like, "I do nothing. If I don't," he's like, "I don't have to go to Ocean. I just do it because I
Yeah.
like it." He's like, "I do nothing." He's like, "People are thinking I've got like this schedule." He's like, "I do nothing."
Yeah. he's outgrown like his responsibilities. He could do
Yeah,
like,
oh, mate,
because he wants to
it
now,
is a
not
funny
because-
sight seeing him.
Is he married to the sesh?
I think, mate, he's absolutely mental. But anyway, next to our bed was Brennan Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Friend of the show. Friend
Brennan
of the show.
Well, Brennan
Well, he
Johnson
will be now.
with
He's
three of his
trying to-
boys. I spent quite a bit of time with him actually. He's a really, really, really nice
Who went up
guy.
to who?
It was a bit of both.
Oh,
Oh, your eyes met and you just...
No, he got up because Ocean give him a bodyguard. By the way, his bodyguard's like Messi's bodyguard. He's so fucking funny. No one could even get like within 5 yards of him. He's like darting about, like stopping him. And then he got up to have a piss, kind of looked over, and I just like winked and put my thumb up, and he just come over and shook my hand.
and then you hit.
And we were just talking. Then his mates come over. But the reason I bring that up is because his mates are in that situation he's on about. Like they just have normal jobs, like. And I was saying, like, I'm not. I mean, I don't know if it's. I mean, I don't think he'd care me saying, but I was saying, like, what goes like? Does that happen? Do you like chip in? He's like, oh no, like. Obviously, Brendan just paid for everything. But he says to us, I want to go on holiday. I'll just sort everything, kind of like that, I think.
You just go on
Which
holiday.
sounds... Well, you would
good
know,
character,
yeah, like,
100%.
When we went to Ibiza, again, it was like me, George, Arthur, and Chris. We were a lot smaller. This was like 2 years ago, and Chris was like, "Oh, should we go to Ocean Beach?"
Chris was smaller then. Jesus, that's small.
No, Chris was obviously still.
No, I still
It was me,
don't worry.
George, and Arthur.
It's a height joke.
Because he
No, I got that, but just to clarify.
All right, but Chris was massive at that point.
really tall at that point.
Said nobody ever.
Anyway, like a lot of the things, like the beds are quite expensive, and he was like, "Don't worry, boys, I got it." And we were just like, "Oh, that's."
Yeah, you would. In fairness,
but obviously the greater example. I know you and Chris go way back, but like with the Brennan Johnson example, they're friends that have been throughout his entire journey in football. Like started.
They grew up together in Nottingham. So like that's why I don't want to bring it up to tell his business, but I just thought it was a lovely thing.
Yeah, he's a nice
You
guy.
could tell they were actually proper boys, and like he looks after them, and I just think that's fucking sick. But
And it would be nothing to him, like a grand bed in Ocean Beach.
So we got a bed, like 10 of us got a bed in VIP. It was 200 euros each, but you get a 6-litre bottle of vodka with that.
6 litres.
Litre with mixers and everything. So it was 200 euros each for the 10 of us. We were there like 6-7 hours.
Good value.
And that was the whole day paid for. So I thought that's not too bad.
Did the 6 litre last the whole day?
Yeah, we didn't even get through it. There was still a bit left.
It is so much.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's like nearly the size of my body.
Do you get this? And I'm guessing you just get like the mixers alongside it.
The mixers, they're constantly bringing them around, like more mixers.
For free.
That's actually a good deal.
Oh,
You're in Euros, spend your day there,
not
and you get
crazy.
unlimited drinks, basically.
Yeah,
And you've got a bed. You're in the VIP section. I mean, the VIP is not.
Could you
not really VIP.
Food's quite nice
Could
as
you
well,
go
isn't
to the
it?
toilet?
Yeah, there's a toilet right by.
No, as in like, was there like?
Oh, he's
lots
talking
of
about
fans?
fans.
Oh, nah, not really. There was. Oh my god!
Yeah, no, I knew there was a story.
Oh yeah, I mean, so. Oh my god, this is mental. So we were just like, we were just chilling by the bed, and this guy comes like banding over, and I'm like, oh my god, here we go. And he was like, I was like, no, I was like, you're all right. What's up? And he's like, look at that. And he got tattooed on himself.
I thought he was your friend.
No, he got tattooed on himself.
So weird.
Yeah, you, and then NB, why not bad yourself?
No way.
Both his
And just by chance was there.
I was like, mate, what?
Maybe not by chance, actually.
He may have been, stalking you.
No, I
Had
think
you been speaking about your upcoming Ibiza trip on these dates or anything?
I didn't say that.
Not really, no.
No, not really.
He hadn't mentioned
Not
it.
really. But he was like, he got it done last year.
But did
Wow.
he get it done because of you?
Obviously,
Yeah, there's things, aren't they?
Yeah, no, I didn't know whether he'd taken the phrase from somewhere else or
No.
Yeah, is that an
That's
original?
wild.
Yeah.
That's an original
Creation.
PG movement.
Well, it's not. It's from my mate I used to work with.
Yeah, but
you pioneered it.
is because
you
of
can
that.
pioneer something.
Well, yeah, I mean, but yeah, how mad is that? I was actually like a bit creepy, but also that's fucking kind of cool.
That is beast mode.
That is cool.
Very cool.
I was,
How far across Ocean Beach did he run?
he was in VIP as well, literally like 2 beds.
right.
But it was the way I
Through the pool.
I was spotting him
He swam for
like
Mallorca.
bounding over, and one of my mates was a bit like, "Oh, I think we've got one here."
We've got one. Called a big one.
But no, he was a good lad.
But yeah, good time at Ocean.
Ocean really
Did
good.
you go Ibiza Rocks?
No, I'm not fucking 15. We went to Ushuaia where MK was on and Calvin Harris.
I thought
No,
Ushuaia
that's
was overrated,
sick.
you know?
Has he got-
Ushuaia. It's very densely packed.
Mate, like, fuck me.
Is that not the point, though?
No, really.
Nah.
They oversell it by.
Oh, really?
And you're very far, like most, the
Oh, to even
audience
get
goes
to
so far
I
back.
got you.
Basically, the
You're
best
sat miles away, you can't see much.
the best
Yeah.
view would be where they've plonked a pool.
Oh, really?
The pool's just in the middle. It's like, why have you put a pool there? Like,
don't
you
get
can't
in the
go in.
pool.
No, you can't go in the pool.
Yeah, it's silly.
And then Alan Shearer was in VIP with all his mates. I was just waving, get us in.
It's me, Tom.
No, they probably thought you were just doing a celebration back to him.
No, I didn't realise he was there till after. I think it was on Twitter that he was there. But Yeah, Ushuaia. The problem with that is, so it started at 5 and then finished at 11. So yeah, like so you get there, there's no shade, mate. Like,
so you're dying in the
so
heat.
you are just stood there, sweating.
With
It's
clothes
also.
on? Because it goes for the evening period.
Yeah, because you're in like a shirt and shorts or whatever, but like, and you can't take your shirt off. Or no, or maybe you can. Oh, yeah, that was it. We tried to sit down, and they said you can't sit down. We're like, then we're like, obviously sweating. Go and get a drink. €60 for 2 doubles.
Huh?
58 euros for 2 double vodka lemonades. I paid.
Fucking hell.
And we was like, I think we'll be sipping this one. The ticket itself was.
That actually shows just how good value Ocean Beach genuinely is.
The ticket itself is €130 because it was MK and Calvin Harris. And in fairness, we got split up from our group because a few lads left and we went to walk them out, and then we literally couldn't get back to them. It's literally like sardines. You're like that.
It's not enjoyable.
Not really. Not when you got some fucking idiot German in front of us, off his head, bouncing around, jumping up and down. It's like, I don't think there's the space to do this, mate. Like, I don't really know.
You were carrying on him, were you?
No, I didn't say anything, but we were all just kind of like trying to enjoy the music, and he's just bouncing around like a frog. It's like,
how much was VIP?
I don't know. I didn't even look. No idea. But
we had a good time.
But then we left 15 minutes before the end to miss the rush, which worked out well because the other lads who didn't waited like an hour and a half for a taxi just to get back.
Oh shit!
So we got a taxi straight away. Then at 11 when they left, they couldn't get one for an hour and a half. That stood there in the fucking. So yeah, but it was fun time, fun times, man.
You going on FIFA now?
Nah, no plans to.
I do want to go back. Actually, we might be going back.
Funny you say that.
Yeah, I haven't. Why is that funny?
You said you haven't been there.
Oh no, I've never been. Yeah. And that's what I was about to say, and then you said, "Funny you say that."
Well, yeah, because hopefully you go there for your stag do.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
When's that video coming out, by the way? That stag do vid.
End of the month, mate.
Next year.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wait, end of July?
End of July.
Come on.
Yeah. Right, should we talk about stuff that you find close to the heart?
We haven't done the Krabby Corner.
Pardon?
We did the Krabby Corner. That was the whole thing. He said delays.
Delays.
And then we had a whole chat about Mallorca.
What's your Krabby Corner?
Line bike pedals and line bikes.
What was mine?
Don't know, actually.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I didn't do it. Oh, well.
Right.
Anyway,
Arthur,
you are a philosophical man, aren't you?
I enjoy a bit of philosophy, yeah.
So get your shorts
So do
off.
you, Reeve? Come on.
I do. But this. Oh, thank you. I'll
politics.
join you there.
Not politics so much.
This is more to gauge into your mind a little bit.
Oh.
Pry into your mind of how you rate philosophers. So we're going to do a philosopher tier list.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, are doing a philosopher tier list?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Do you know these
What, with the name?
by their face?
No, that's.
Some of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
Is that the guy from Heart Attack?
who's drawn the third picture? That's what I don't know.
Is that King Henry VIII?
Right,
solid takes. Do you ever wonder how, like,
the penultimate's the guy.
how do they know what they look like?
Well, these
they
buffs
did
were made at the
statue.
time.
You can literally
they
just
were?
see.
Yeah, they're accurate to the period, aren't
They
they?
didn't guess.
Well, it's like imagine in like 150 years' time when people look at the Ronaldo statue, that's what it looks like.
Well, they're pictures.
Oh my god, have you ever seen the follow-up video to that?
You know,
Like, is it Bleacher Report or someone gave him a chance to do it again? It's generally, it might make you cry.
He was so disappointed.
The
wasn't he?
whole thing about how like he originally made it and it didn't come out right. I can't remember exactly why. And he was gutted. His family like got so much hate for it. He was like choking up. It's really emotional. And like the people that are making this documentary go like, we want to give you another chance. Like, we know you're super talented. And he makes one. It looks exactly like Ronaldo, and he's so proud. He's like breaking down. And honestly, like it's not like a 10, 20-minute video.
Wow,
But if you get the chance to watch it, it makes you feel so. I've never laughed at one of the. I didn't laugh at that joke. I hope. It makes me think of that video every time someone memes it. And you're
the
like,
problem is the actual statue that he's built off the back of having to do it again will never be the one that's remembered.
No.
Did you see the one they did of David Beckham as a joke?
Yeah, was
That's
it
really
James
funny.
Corden?
Oh, the James
It's
Corden
Very
thing, yeah.
funny.
Anyway,
That can't go out.
Right, here we go.
That can't go out.
philosophize.
Let's kick it off.
I've got my family coming over.
This should be an interesting one because you actually named a hamster after
Plato.
Right, we've
the
got
person.
avoid him at a party, just a bit weird. Solid takes, bro. Made me think too hard, and the goat.
Right.
How do you know-
all valid tiers for.
but how would you know what Plato's like at a party?
I don't think you would, mate.
I think all of these aren't going to be very party-esque, are they?
no.
So maybe we'll go like, this is who they are. Here's like a little bit of what they believed or something, and
Go
then
then.
we'll put them in.
Tell us.
So who are we going with first? Plato. Plato, the guy. I think
He's got to be up there, and he's one I know. So
yeah.
What's his main thoughts?
I think therefore I am.
No, that's coming up though. That's
that
Descartes. That's Descartes.
Oh.
Yeah, French a lot further on.
Yeah, see, I'm not. I know their names, but I don't know what they did.
So what does Plato do then?
Plato had.
He was a scholar athlete, really, wasn't he?
He was one of these. He was one of the first people who like thought about a utopia and how to get there,
What's a utopia?
like a perfect society.
Yeah.
He looked at the.
You remember when you see the picture of like the flying cars and the grass and the lake and like futuristic society, and people go, "Oh, this would be what it was like if Harry Kane squared it to, or like Sterling squared it to Kane." That's what a utopia kind of is, like the perfect world.
Well, here's what
I don't want to disregard a lot of these old philosophers.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go. Theo Cadman knows more than these philosophers.
Surely we're all smarter than they were back then. Like, this bloke's thought of like a positive future.
No, well, we've barely
than that.
started. So, in thinking about the utopia,
Conceptually,
Plato's big thing was like eudaimonia, like this idea of human flourishing, and like living a good life and all this kind of stuff.
But surely everyone wants that.
Ross Edgley's like
Oh, fucking hell, we're getting there.
Ross Edgley's like a huge, what's the word? Disciple of Plato.
Is he?
Really? Yeah, he's always like striving for eudaimonia. A lot of the stuff that he does is like quite athletically challenging, but also like scholar based as well.
Surely everyone wants that. I don't get it.
So like one of
Not
his,
everyone thinks like that though.
Here, let's have a couple of his ideas. One of his ideas was replacing. Obviously, at the time they had a lot of famous people. A lot of people looked up to, like boxers, celebrities, all this kind of stuff.
Wait, Plato?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like a fighter.
In what year?
No, but then he was going society, looks at all these people, and he said that we should replace these ideas of like wealthy celebrities, famous people,
Status.
with these things called guardians, who are people to look up to in society, because he kind of thought that people, it had a really big impact on society, who the like role models of the time were. And he thought it'd be really important to have these like guardians in place who were wise and had these like really good virtues. And that's a kind of like good thing for us to think, like we're people that people tune in every week to listen to us speak about thing. Maybe it's important for us to take on board that, we should reflect things about.
What's the guardian though? What does he mean by that physically?
Yeah, so they were people who were particularly wise and who had these virtues of like courage, wisdom, self-control, patience, things that people.
So like modern day like politicians?
No. He also really hated modern day politicians. He thought that politicians should be philosophers and the philosophers should be politicians. And that he hated this idea that people who were good with rhetoric and popular and all this kind of stuff were the people that made decisions. And he thought basically people shouldn't be allowed to vote until they've become kind of philosophers themselves, like really thought about things.
So to play devil's advocate,
go for it.
Is he not suggesting that
you're going to love Socrates when we come into Socrates, because you're the Socrates of the group, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Ooh. So anyway, go on. What are you saying?
Is he not just basically saying everyone should look up to people like me?
No, he's saying the opposite.
But Plato was a wise person. So he's basically saying everyone should look up to people like me. As in me, Plato.
We're on Plato, yeah.
Yeah. That's what he's saying.
To some extent. I mean, he thought that people like him.
Yeah,
but I'm
guys. Everyone
at that point
listen to
at that
me.
point,
And only
philosophers
people
are
who think
fairly
like me.
modest.
That sounds like me.
How they think as well, though.
Yeah, that's basically self-entitled.
But they have this
bastard.
recognition that thinking about things does make you better and wiser.
But he's literally saying everyone should look up to people like that. I know he is one.
He is right. Who the fuck's he to tell me
Yeah.
what to look up to?
You've never thought about that, have you?
Plato
is correct.
I would agree. I would agree that philosophers should be the people that go like, God, like the most important thing to him was like, how do we live a good,
He thinks
fulfilling,
better than
happy
everyone
life?
else.
Is that not the age-old thing of like I don't know, today, like instead of looking up to the Kardashians, we should be looking up to professors?
Correct.
But unfortunately,
people of virtuous nature,
Yeah, people who are virtuous. That's true.
Like,
you look at influencers and go, who are the good influencers? Who are the people that speak about important topics, like make you feel happy, good about yourself?
They're the ones that
make you a
question
good
Plato.
man.
But the thing with that is,
you guys are good people. I think you guys are not far off the Guardians.
no.
Compare me to a
Especially you,
guardian.
come on.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
Am I a Plato's guardian?
No, no, you are in a sense, but I think you're more of a Socrates kind of guy.
Oh yeah, I definitely don't think people should be looking up to me. My point is,
But do you not think the wisdom in us even discussing this now, coming to today's day and age, just stands testament to like how important these kind of ideas are?
no, 100%. I'm not downplaying these guys. I'm downplaying us.
Got you. Yeah,
I agree. People shouldn't really look up to, If you're looking at it really black and white, people shouldn't look up to footballers or celebrities, but they do, because that's a lot of people's escape. People don't want to spend their week working, grafting, and their escape is to go and watch football, to go and watch boxing, to go and watch to go and watch a reality show. People don't want to hear about the fucking. But like you just said, people like that almost talking down to you and telling you what you should think, even though he's probably got a point and he might be right. A lot of people don't want that in their life. They just want to work all week and then escape.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He also had this massive thing of how important entertainment, plays, and that kind of stuff was as an escape from like reality and the harshness, and also like facing it as well, like tragedy and stuff. So he definitely thought that the arts and stuff had definitely had their place and they were really important, but just to kind of go like to not really prioritize. Fame and success, and as much as people who were like
footballers are an interesting one though, like sports. So I think you should look up to them in their sporting sense, but so a lot of people look up to them like off the pitch as well, which you probably shouldn't really do.
It's not really fair on them either.
Yeah, but if you look up to the sports stars in their sporting sense, they've worked bloody hard to get where they are and grafted.
Yeah,
but then you could argue that again. I'm not saying this is my opinion or debate. You could argue that they haven't worked as hard as a doctor, but no one looks up to them the same way they do these.
But it's hard in different senses. One's hard in a theoretical basis to become a doctor, and the other one's physically and mentally challenged to become a sports star.
A doctor is physically demanding.
No, I know, but like they're both hard in two different senses.
Yeah.
Like, is it harder to become a doctor, or is it harder to become a professional footballer?
That's probably a footballer.
Tough 50-50 that.
See what I mean?
Probably a footballer, only because of the sheer amount of people who try to become footballers. I think the actual skill of becoming a footballer is not as hard.
A lot harder.
It's not harder than being a doctor.
That's not just okay.
No, I know, but when you make it black or white, like,
but to become a professional footballer, you're challenging a billion other people in the world. Do you know what I mean? To become the 0.001%. But yeah,
where are we sticking him? Yeah, we don't want to spend too long.
Yes, he's either solid takes, bro, or makes me think too hard. I think solid takes, bro.
Yeah, solid takes, bro is pretty good.
Yeah.
Who's this bloke?
Who's this fucking freak?
So this is Aristotle.
Why do you say it like that?
No, you said who's this fucking freak?
He does look like a freak.
Yeah.
So
the guy next
freaky.
Aristotle was a kind of like pioneer and a good way of thinking, but got a lot of stuff wrong.
Oh, so he's wrong.
So he was,
what did he say?
He was one of the first. So
is he the one that he's misquoted as excellence is a habit of what you do you're a byproduct of a habit of what you do every day, right?
So all these quotes are just nonsense though, because they've all been interpreted.
Yeah, but I think
like they didn't say that.
I think that one always gets misattributed to Aristotle when it's not actually him, right?
Really, I don't know.
What did he say?
Excellence is.
What did this?
Carry on.
Should we have a quick Google on the?
What did he say? Said quickly.
Well, let's do this quote first.
So I just asked ChatGPT.
And then type in excellence, and then it'll come up with the quote, I reckon. Excellence is a habit. Yeah.
What were Aristotle's main ideas?
No, we know his main ideas. We're doing the quote.
Then is not an act, but a habit. Yeah, but I think that always gets misattributed to him. Someone else actually said it, but anyway.
To be fair, a lot of these ideas, like when you hear about philosophers, they were like one of the first.
Yeah.
Quite often people who spend a lot of time or their like works deeply reflect an idea. They might not have been the first, but like it's attributed to them. Very similar in chess. You often get like, someone's opening and it's named after them.
Yeah,
they weren't the first person to do it.
Yeah, got you.
They just were like really influential in the theory.
Okay. First of all, this guy's a fraud.
Aristotle.
Mate, listen to this nonsense, right?
Oh no, he started Googling him.
I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. So he's considered the father of formal logic.
Who?
Logical thinking, right?
Aristotle.
Yeah.
Here's what he said.
Syllogistic logic.
He said, all humans are mortal.
Oh, I know. I already know where you're going with this, and I already know it's wrong.
Socrates is a human, therefore Socrates is mortal.
No, so you're completely missing the point. His point wasn't to go.
It's basic common sense.
No.
Come on, man. He's making you think too hard.
No, he's not. The point.
He said humans are mortal. How do you figure that out?
His point wasn't the premises, but you agree with the two premises and therefore the conclusion. So his essential way is he made arguing a system. So he says, if you agree with these two premises that all humans are mortal, you agree with that, and someone says yes, and you go, Socrates is a human, yes. The conclusion that Socrates is therefore mortal you have to accept. So he took this sort of idea of argument being about intuition and common discussion. He gave this like formal syllogistic logic of, here are these premises. If you accept these premises, you have to accept the conclusion. And that deductive reasoning was quite groundbreaking.
It's blown his mind, yeah.
That's blown my mind. You act like I don't know any of this stuff. I know all about this stuff.
So it's a way to say to someone like, oh, if you disagree with this conclusion, if I can make you accept these premises that lead to the conclusion. So if you go, I disagree with.
But two things that are correct doesn't necessarily make one thing that is correct.
No, but the form of a syllogism is that the premises, if they are true, necessarily lead to the conclusion. So he brought about this idea of
this bloke's a load of fucking waffle
and logic.
Mate.
And the other one was the inductive reasoning, the observation. So the kind of thing where you go, okay, you try and put that in a syllogism of, let's say the sun, right? You go, every single day I've ever observed, the sun has risen in the morning. You can't say the sun has risen every time before, therefore the sun will rise tomorrow, because it might not. The conclusion doesn't necessarily follow. But there's the inductive reasoning of going like, I've observed it a lot, we can draw reasonable conclusions. And that's kind of like the foundation of science, like having observations and going, that's why science humbly calls things theories. Like, you have the germ theory of disease. Still, it's called a theory.
Yeah,
gravity's a theory, evolution's a theory. We're as certain that germs cause disease and that gravity is a thing and that evolution is true as pretty much anything else.
We had this debate before about normal theories compared to scientific theories. They're not the same theories, are they? They are very different.
What's your thoughts on obviously?
Where would you? Based off your initial reactions to what you've read of him, where would you put?
We could find something that could prove it wrong.
Well, I think solid take space should be higher than makes you think too hard. I think it's the wrong way around.
I don't think he makes you think. Oh, I see it. Yeah, because it almost.
I see. Yeah, no, that actually might be right. Yeah.
He rejected Plato's theory of forms as existence independently. For Aristotle, substance is a combination of matter and form.
He famously said that heavier objects fall faster than lighter objects, and it was fair enough, good observation. Obviously, we weren't really able to test that in a vacuum, but obviously we know that's not true.
Nice.
But with gravity, it's true.
Not with gravity, it's true. No. With gravity, heavy objects and light objects fall at the same speed. So you get a bowling ball and a feather in a vacuum, drop them, they'll hit the floor at the same time.
No, we're not saying, but a vacuum doesn't have gravity.
That's what he said.
A vacuum does have gravity.
Oh, that's what you disagreed with me there. You were wrong.
No,
you were wrong.
I've lost it.
You were wrong. Yeah, you got it wrong there.
Okay,
you
right.
In there, say sorry. Why does vacuum? But space don't have gravity, does it?
Space does have gravity.
Minute amount of gravity. What if there's no gravity?
What happens if there's no gravity? So actually, if you get two tennis balls and place them about a meter apart in space with no other gravity, in about half an hour, they'll eventually come together from their own gravity.
But if I go to the top of a building, drop off a feather and a bowling ball, the bowling ball's going to hit the floor first.
Yeah, because there's air resistance.
Yeah.
So it does fall faster.
Yeah, but not due to like gravity. It's because there's other factors.
In a real world scenario, it falls faster.
Yeah, but in our
you're talking
planet,
about a feather or a bowling ball off the top of a building.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, bowling ball hits.
Well, yeah, but he's talking about in a vacuum. But how often are we in a vacuum?
No, you're right. Practically.
Do you know what I mean? Practically.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah.
Like,
that's why no one.
If you go around telling everyone, yeah, the bowling ball falls the same way as the feather. Yeah, it's all well and good doing it in a vacuum, but mate, you're in a fucking earth.
In an earth.
You're in an earth.
You're not in a vacuum. You're in an earth.
Yeah, true.
So what's it all wassa? Why don't you just talk about in the practical days that we're in?
He also had a cool thing about the golden mean where like there's a perfection in between two extremes.
Yeah.
So like maybe humor. Someone can be a bit too silly and laughs when it's inappropriate, make silly jokes. Everyone thinks they're a bit of a divvy. Or somebody who doesn't laugh at anything at all and is a bore. Yeah. There's like a golden mean that everyone can aspire to aim
like
to hit.
Drinking.
In everything.
Break it back to something we understand.
Drinking.
Being too disciplined and never having a drink or just like having a problem with it. Somewhere in the middle.
You're not in the middle. You're like back and forth.
I didn't say I followed it. I just...
Like, for example, if a squirrel falls out of a tall building, if I chuck a squirrel off, it will survive. Do you know why? Terminal velocity, brother.
What?
Yeah.
Sam?
So the squirrel
What did you just
squirrel's
say?
so light.
Isn't that because it spreads itself out?
No, don't they fly? They can kind
It's
of
a flying squirrel.
glide.
A flying squirrel, different animal.
Can't they glide?
A normal red squirrel, it won't die because of terminal velocity. It literally can't go as fast as like a bowling ball. So when it lands, it's just like it fell off a car.
No,
Look at him, look.
That's a flying squirrel.
Can you,
It's different.
Will,
It's
can you
different to a normal squirrel.
Google if Theo throws a squirrel off a building, whether or not it will die?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool.
If a squirrel jumps off a 30-story
you said you'd
building,
throw
will it
one.
survive?
You said you'd throw it, mate.
A squirrel on a flying squirrel is
We
an
should
animal,
call
you know that.
Peter if it actually does die, by the way, because you said you'd kill a squirrel.
That's a surprisingly interesting physics and biology question. There you go.
That's not the
Squirrels
answer,
can
man.
survive it, and they would survive it. There you go. Terminal velocity, because I'm correct.
So we just believe him.
Let me
That
read
does not say that.
Terminal velocity can't go that fast. Why don't you just believe me instead of like fact checking everything?
You just
No,
said
but
it
you
in
said-
such a
with-
weird way.
You say
In most cases, yes. A healthy squirrel that falls straight off a 30-story building will almost always survive.
Told you.
I never doubted you.
Yeah, you did. Look at you, like trying to poke in every hole.
I wasn't. I was trying
Because it doesn't sound, doesn't sound believable.
I was
does
trying to
it?
find out whether or not you've killed a squirrel.
No, I just have pockets of knowledge that you little pea brains don't understand.
Oh,
I've got an A in
We've got
psychology.
so many
Where
left.
are we putting him?
Confucius. I thought we'd have to throw him in because otherwise we've all just got.
Did you create the tier list?
I just gave him some lists.
Oh, okay,
lists of
right, okay.
philosophers.
Who's
Because if you brought
Confucius?
someone up,
Be confused.
Eastern philosophy,
Okay.
ancient China,
Talk to me.
the golden rule, the sort of
Oh, he'd create. Oh, that's, the golden rule thing is what he
not
did.
the golden
Golden
mean.
mean.
This is the golden rule of do unto others what you would want done to yourself, and don't do unto others what you wouldn't.
Very
want done unto yourself.
Jesus-esque, isn't it? Really?
Quite Jesus-esque.
Yeah.
So treat people the way you want to be treated.
Exactly. That.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Can I I don't necessarily agree with that.
Really?
No, because I think
I want to abuse people.
no.
like to
Like
slap.
I don't think the way I expect people to treat me or would like to be treated is the same way you treat like a small child or
Oh yeah.
or an old
Hello,
an old-
Tommy.
or an
I
older
see what you're
person.
saying. It's not a
And
generic
I actually think
application.
that's not.
It's lazy, isn't it?
It's not lazy, but it's maybe
context.
maybe I'm happier being treated a different way to Theo. Just because I'm okay with being treated like that doesn't mean I don't even know the
Wait,
word.
the fundamental point of
Just
it.
because
Yeah,
the way I want to be treated means everyone has to be treated that way. I don't
but
But
agree with
also,
that.
you would treat a baby in a nice way. In the fundamental,
Depends.
you would.
It fucks me off.
Shut up.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
like-
It means that.
Shut your mouth.
It's like in certain situations, whether or
Yeah, I
not
agree. No, I
you
understand.
want like,
I would definitely treat you two differently to someone I've just met.
yeah.
yeah.
That's true.
I think that's just
But
natural
as
in
in,
the
like,
way.
you wouldn't necessarily do something to any of those people that you wouldn't want done.
No,
to you.
not.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't hit someone or
No, but even that,
them feel
I wouldn't
bad.
mind someone coming in and like, I don't know, like fucking poking me and having like a laugh at me or
Tickle.
or just like a little. But I wouldn't do that to a stranger, or I wouldn't want a stranger to do that to me.
maybe it doesn't have to be necessarily directional. It can be like almost proportional. So going like treat people with the respect I would want to be treated, or with the level
Yes.
of humor appropriate to them.
Yeah, but
I mean?
even that, like I wouldn't expect someone I don't know to take the piss out of me the same way my friends would, or my family, or not that I wouldn't want. I don't know. I don't really know. what
No,
You
I'm
no,
don't,
watching,
you,
but-
you don't fuck with them really. You just like
No, I understand
It's
I
definitely
understand
more
the
of a general rule
Yeah,
than
I understand the
a-
premise of it. I don't
You are right,
necessarily
it's very
agree with
copy and
that.
paste from Jesus.
They did not know each other.
yeah.
No, but it's the same idea.
Yeah,
Wouldn't they have
good
followed a
ideas.
different
Good
goal?
ideas do
I mean,
last a long while though. don't
Who
they?
was around first?
There's inevitably going to be a lot
was
of
around
convergent
first?
evolution. I think
Like,
he was. What Confucius?
you're telling me-
Confucius
also,
500
Nah.
BC?
And also like the
careful
Greek,
what you're going to say here.
also like the Greek philosophers would have followed
Yeah,
like
500
Greek,
BC. So he was about 500 years before Jesus.
they would have followed.
I don't want to be that guy.
No, and a lot of the Greek philosophers would have followed Greek gods. Like that would have been.
Yeah, I know, but
No, he's trying to say that Jesus
Copied.
stole his flow.
Mate, nearly all religions like that are very similar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
But
Do
he's
you
not
think
religious,
There's
he's
almost
a
like an
philosopher.
inherent, like obvious that, like, of course, when
Well, I
you think
think-
about it.
Yeah, yeah, that-
treat
yeah,
everyone
but
this
kindly.
was my point from the start.
Yeah, but that's why these ideas last really.
No, my point
That's
is from
why
the start,
we go, oh, that's such a simple idea because it has lasted all
Yeah.
this time.
it's
But
like
people at the
saying.
time weren't thinking these.
Yes.
This is why they're pioneers.
It's
Yeah.
like now going, yeah, just fucking put it in the microwave. But the first person to invent the microwave
Yeah.
was the genius. But you could easily go, well, yeah, fucking yeah, just create something that eats things up. Like it's easy.
How do you know fucking Janet down the pub in the 1500s wasn't thinking like this?
Because her ideas aren't spoken about today.
Yeah. We'd all know Janet from the 1500s.
It's almost like a shame in philosophy that to now be a pioneer, it's almost impossible. Like it's very rare.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously a lot of these people come up with things that you go like,
thought of.
Oh, it's almost it's like current philosophers are almost just like regurgitators of what is.
That's the stupidest thing ever. That's like saying everything's been invented. No, it hasn't.
I think of something new then.
That's ridiculous.
I'm not saying I can.
Do it, mate.
all right, where are we putting? Oh wait, no. Oh, okay, so let's go. Golden.
Wait, mate.
Golden Triangle.
Oh, one other thing about him, he kind of thought the perfect. He had this idea of like a perfect person. Said these are the kind of virtues like wisdom, all this piece of kind of stuff, and he said that everyone can get a lot closer to them.
Yeah.
You need to like cultivate virtues in the same way you like cultivate a garden. Which is quite a nice idea. Not going like,
cool,
you're bad, you're good. Going like everyone can get towards this if you just put in the work and
also it implies people have dynamic personalities.
Yeah.
Nice,
Put in some effort and you get somewhere.
A lot of it is.
You can be a good person.
A lot of them are just clever metaphors, aren't they? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite nice. So I think
about being a
that's
good
Solid takes,
I
bro.
think that's solid takes, bro, as well.
And he represents the East well. Let's put him.
I don't think Theo's very convinced, is he?
I think they're all a load of fucking nonsense.
Oh, this one is this Descartes?
Oh, don't get me started on
Oh, this is
Descartes.
my one, isn't it? I think, therefore I am.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off.
Je pense donc je suis. That's what he
You
says.
can't shut fuck up.
Or
That is
cogito ergo
right, though,
sum.
isn't it? That's how we know we're conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be the new argument again for AI.
So we've done,
Yes.
we had this
Yeah.
one on waffling and then you spoke about it with Alex O'Connor.
Yeah.
And you don't like it.
I feel like you'd avoid him at a party.
I wouldn't speak to Descartes.
Yeah.
No way.
I don't think I speak to any of these freaks.
I just think there's just too, like, why can't you just accept
Except what?
anything?
Oh, this is what we spoke about the table
everything
thing all
gets
over again.
questioned all the
he's doing
time.
whole thing.
Too much thinking sometimes I think is what the world does.
Oh, so maybe you're not Socrates type. Maybe you don't like thinking.
Yeah, I think your issue is you take it the other way too much and you
No,
don't think at all.
I do think though that there is definitely like a trend of like trying to like overthink everything.
I do agree
Trying to
with
keep
that.
Everything.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
that's-
Like you like for example, I do this metaphor all the time, but like you can sit there and tell me the table's not there, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes. But this,
Oh, see,
but as in like, you're just going like, practically there's no use to that. But for some people, it's just interesting to think about, to think like,
No, I
how
agree
can
with that.
improve
That's
this?
fine, yeah.
And also you probably agree with him slightly more than you think, because he thought that all the other stuff, the things like there's a table in front of me, he didn't just think that the only thing you can know is that you exist. Like that's the idea of the je pense donc je suis, I think therefore I am. But he also thought that God existed and that because God was perfect, he wouldn't be deceptive. And so he said, because God exists and isn't deceptive, I can reasonably trust my judgment that there is a table there because God wouldn't deceive me and make
but then
me
he's
a brain
also
in a vat,
combining
that kind of
science
stuff.
with religion.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
God was how he grounded reality, and I think
That's
argument
quite
for
interesting,
God was
actually.
Awful. His idea for God was the ontological argument. I don't know if you've heard of it before, but he essentially said like, think of a perfect being, right? Like think of a perfect being. For that perfect being to be perfect, it would need to exist, because let's say you've got two perfect beings, one doesn't exist, one does. Well, the perfect being that doesn't exist isn't as perfect as the perfect
There's no
being that does
comparison.
exist.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah,
comparison.
yeah.
So for there to be a perfect being, it would need to exist. That would make it perfect.
Yeah.
Therefore, the perfect being exists. And a lot of people really don't like that. They don't like making
Being told
existence
things as well,
a property
yeah.
and giving it to God. It's circular. It begs the question. You're defining God into existence.
And I think imperfections create the perfect anyway.
Oh, yeah, you actually are a little philosopher. I know you hate it. You're a bit of a rogue one. But when he gets... where
one.
was it we went? When we were in Finland, me and you peeled away for like an hour and a half and...
Oh,
What did you do?
You're talking about that science thing.
we
that
were
gets
just
bit
stroking each
computer.
other's brains.
oh.
No, but you do like discussing it. You like to write off a lot of silly takes.
He does actually. And then
You
when you
really
break
do
it down,
like
he
it.
actually
Yeah.
There's
A lot of it's nonsense though, don't get me wrong.
But you,
Yeah, but
like,
you only,
I like to
you
break
only
it down.
think that because they're such simple ideas
I only
to
think
us
that
now.
because
but you like practical philosophy of like how these things,
Yeah.
these things actually impact my life. And
Yeah. The stuff where it's like more theory and, being rather than doing, you don't really take
fuck
an
with that.
interest to. Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
So where would we put him? Avoid him at a party.
Yeah.
Freak show.
All right. Socrates.
Hit me, daddy.
So Socrates
Would you
is
say he's the most famous philosopher, Socrates?
maybe.
Potentially
Or
Marcus
Plato.
Aurelius as well, though.
I've never heard of him.
Marcus
Okay.
Aurelius, he was a Roman emperor.
Yeah.
He's a left back for Chelsea.
Maybe Socrates, in terms
Mark
of
going
like
out
a
of
generic
fiction.
big name, and everyone goes, "Oh, that's a philosopher." Yeah,
Well,
maybe.
in terms of this tier list, so like Socrates taught Plato,
Yeah.
Plato taught Aristotle. So it all kind of comes back to Socrates
really?
being like
Yeah.
the original
Father.
and then Aristotle taught Alexander the Great. So there's a really cool like chain there. But Socrates was the original guy, but Socrates never wrote anything down. Plato wrote down.
Is he
Why
illiterate?
wouldn't he do that?
Because he was just a teacher. He was just teaching people. He didn't necessarily
Just a teacher.
Yeah,
Secretaries.
and so Plato wrote a lot of the things down, and a lot of Plato's works, Socrates playing a pivotal role in conversations. And the idea of Socratic questioning is going like, it's constantly just questioning things, kind of the same way you do. Like when you go like, oh, this
Why?
is what we know. Oh, how do we know that? How can you prove that? Why are you saying that?
No, he doesn't. He goes, what's the point of proving it?
No, I don't. I question everything.
But even that's kind of
just said that.
At school, in science, genuine, I had a ban on questions. I was only allowed to ask 3 questions a lesson.
You do.
that-
You ask questions a lot.
As a word limit from the teacher, though.
And
Not
a word
really.
limit. No, that's 2 separate lessons.
Okay.
Chemistry was 3 questions. Biology was word limit.
Okay.
And also, I think
Physics I was good at.
I think you're like the fact that with Socrates, he didn't see philosophy necessarily as just this abstract concept that's all academic. He saw it as almost something that you like work out your mind and your body and soul and stuff every day. Like it was a thing that should have practical consequences.
Yeah, agreed.
But things like how to live a good life. You know, he'd get drunk, have a bottle of wine with people and be like, oh, what does it mean to you to be a good person? What does it mean to you to live a good life? These are important questions. And they'd give him an answer and they'd all go, oh, like wealth. And they go like, and it would go like, oh, well, if you had wealth, would you necessarily be happy?
Well, what
about
is
if you were
wealth to
wealthy and
you?
ill? Like, what is wealth?
Yeah.
Like,
Health
why-
is wealth.
And this Socratic questioning was going like,
That's true.
That's the
ask a question,
further-
get the response, and then like dive into it. What are the
Yeah.
definitions? How are you defining words? We're gonna get into it I can see Baruch Spinoza up there, who this is gonna.
I would put Socrates near the
something.
top.
Just describe wealth.
But that's an interesting one. He
What
could
is
be the guy.
what is wealth to me? I mean, naturally you get to monetary, don't you? I think.
No,
But,
I don't.
well, okay. Well, when I think of wealth, I think of monetary. How much monetary possessions you have, whether that's
Just say I love
physically money or assets or. Me personally, to consider myself wealthy, I think I'd put it down to monetary. Definitely. I think that's just the way I'm. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather be poor. Well, not. I'd rather be poor and healthy than rich and unhealthy.
Yeah.
Therefore, wealth is health.
But no, because I think
necessarily, but
wealth and health are two separate things to
Wealth can be
me.
an abundance of family. Can be, it
I
depends what you
value my
apply to
health
the-
over my wealth, but wealth is what you have, isn't it? It's.
If that,
I think wealth can be measured. I don't think health or happiness can be.
Health can be measured.
I don't think so.
This is it though. This is
Health
the
can be
crack
measured.
method
This can be
of
measured.
diving into.
I
it.
don't
You
think-
can
well,
measure your heart rate variability. You can measure your resting heart rate. You can measure your blood
True,
pressure.
and then you can wake up dead tomorrow. So I don't think you can ever know your true health.
You can
Can't wake up
I do agree with him slightly. You can
Yeah, sorry. I mean, you know what I mean.
you can
though.
influence your healthy factors, but like you
Give yourself the
catching
best
it,
chance.
you catching, yeah, of course.
Some of the
But it
healthiest-
doesn't necessarily guarantee it.
Some of the healthiest people in the world, footballers, have fucking had cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and have they not got the best equipment in the world to measure their health?
But also, you could say that they give themselves the best chance, and just because something goes undiagnosed doesn't mean you don't have that. You're more likely to die of
I
heart attack
agree.
if you've got high cholesterol and are very much largely overweight.
Yeah, so you can influence the factors
Yeah.
around health, but I don't think you can necessarily fully control.
You can measure your wealth more than you can measure your health. That's what I'm saying. And I think wealth doesn't. I think they're separate.
What means more to you, health or wealth?
Health.
Me? Health.
Health, I imagine, to most people.
I think it's yeah.
Because it would be like that question that was going around not long ago. Like, I'll give you £10 billion right now, but you don't wake up next week. You wouldn't take it, would you?
No.
Is that a question that was going around last week?
I saw a TikTok of this guy being like, "Oh, would you accept £10 billion right now?" And the guy was like, "Well, yeah." He said, "What if I told you that next week you die? Would you have it?" He said, "No."
Yeah.
I think everyone would say that, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, actually, you'd have a good week there, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Or bad.
Yeah, or what?
Bad week.
How would it be bad?
Anyways, where you put this
£10
guy?
billion.
Who's this guy? Oh, Marcus Aurelius.
No, that's the one next to him.
I've never heard of. Who's this one?
Oh, Epicurus.
I've heard of him. There's a horse called
Pleasure.
him, actually.
Who's Epicurus?
So
Pleasure boy.
a lot of the philosophers at the time were concerned about how to live a good life, fulfilling, all this kind of stuff. How to be like a good person. His was more about trying to figure out like what makes us happy and satisfied. And he had a lot
Sex,
of observations
beer. Yeah.
There were a lot of rumors that he, that he was sort of like shagging all the time, like would have 10 orgasms a night.
It would make sense though, because back in Roman times, they all shagged everyone.
Well, he held like Epicurean, like almost lock-ins, right?
Commune,
Yeah.
So like he kind of looked around and challenged a lot of what people thought made them happy. A lot of people thought that love and sex made you happy. And he looked around and he saw people cheating and couples arguing and jealousy and all this kind of stuff. And he was like, friendship's actually more important. Like people that spend time with their good friends tend to be happier, and that's where happiness comes from. Kind of thought that having like you don't necessarily need all the luxuries. It's all about having safety, like good food, all that kind of stuff. But his like one of his main things was these like Epicurean households.
Yeah.
And he kind of like conjured all these ideas of like what made him happy, and essentially like went to live with a bunch of his friends, and they sort of all had their own private areas, but they had a lot of shared space. So shared dining rooms, shared living rooms, all that kind of stuff. And it just became like a massive thing. Like at the height of the movement, there were like 400,000 of these Epicurean households where like people would live with their family and friends, like all really close to each
Communities.
other. They'd have their private space. Communes, that's what the essentially like communes, like the church eventually took them over. But they are the remnants of these communes at the time. And nowadays, a lot of people are really going back to it. And you sort of got all these fancy people to, as bankers, politicians to quit their jobs, and they'd all perform tasks in their local area. And they'd, a couple of them would go farm for food, a couple of them would make pottery, but they ended up saying that they were a lot happier living that simple life of breaking bread, having wine in the evening, spending the days, farming in the farms and making pottery.
That's pretty interesting,
happy.
actually.
And there are a lot of people now going back to that. You'll see them on TikTok going back to these Epicurean households and going like, actually, sell my house, sell my flat in London. It's I'm in the rat race. I'm working 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. every night. I get home, I'm exhausted. I sleep. I wake up. What the hell is the point? And they go and they buy, and they all have their own little space, and they all have their own little roles, and they spend every night, having dinners together with their mums and their kids and their cousins.
They add their money.
Is that not very common in, I don't want to get the communities wrong. It's common in the Jewish community, isn't it, that? I think.
I don't really know much about the Jewish community.
I'm pretty sure, like basically it's a lot of, you look after your own, and you're a massive, and I think aren't Sikhs really big into that as well, though? I don't want to be offensive, but I
don't think that's offensive at all.
I'm not sure if it's...
But you get those kind of ideologies a lot in like Mediterranean communities,
Yeah,
I feel like that isn't that common.
The village
in ours,
looks after each other. Everyone work like you got a fishing department, blah blah blah. No one's really out to make capitalist gains or anything. You're just always supporting each other within this tight community.
They all look after each other.
It's interesting that you bring up capitalism as well, because Karl Marx wrote his PhD thesis on Epicurus, and the idea of communes, the Epicurean communes, is where the idea of communism comes from. Just going like, we actually don't need these like intense like social structures. Like all we need is for everyone to go, this is what I can give to the community. Here's what I need.
But it's not though, is it?
Well, it's obviously very complicated. Like, there's
Because
arguments about whether
then you have
would we have
doctors, police.
Would you have the same level of innovation without the profit motive?
Exactly.
Maybe not. Like, it's complicated in getting the balance right. But the nice thing about a more free society like the one we live in is we at any point could choose. You guys could go like, when we hit 35, maybe you've made enough money for YouTube. You'll just go and live out in Portugal, all grab houses near to each other, buy your old parents a little house down the road, play golf, and meet up every night and have a few beers, have a few drinks. You've got your own private space to be with your wife.
I'd put him in solid takes.
Cool. Yeah, that's solid takes, I think.
Marcus Aurelius, big fan of his.
Yeah.
He's the boy.
He was in Gladiator.
He was. Peter O'Toole.
Yeah, great actor as well.
Yeah.
He was Dumbledore in the early films.
Yeah.
No, he
One
wasn't.
film.
He was.
One film.
Peter O'Toole.
In Philosophy of Stone.
No, it wasn't.
No, that was Richard's.
He was only in the first one.
Wasn't in Gladiator. Wasn't it Richard?
He was in the first one.
No, it was. Wasn't it Peter?
He was Dumbledore in the first one. And then Michael Gambon
Am I
took
getting
over.
the actors confused here?
It was
Michael Gambon. Michael
No, it was
Gambon
Richard-
took over from the
what-
second Harry Potter. He was only in
I know who the. I know.
That's not Marcus Aurelius in.
No, I've got my actors mixed up then.
It's Richard Smith or something. What's his name? Who played the first Harry Potter?
Yeah, who's the first Dumbledore? He's on the tip of my tongue, man. Richard Harris.
Richard Harris.
Yeah.
And Richard Harris was.
Dumbledore in the first one.
But he was Marcus Aurelius
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right, guys.
they're Gladiator. Yeah, great actor. But yeah,
I'm Chamber of Secrets. So
Marcus
1 and 2.
Aurelius might be GOAT status.
Talk to me about him.
Meditations.
Apart from being a great war leader.
So that's the point. He was like the most important person in the world at that time, and he still had these really fundamental, basic ideas of how you should just be a good person.
Where's he from?
Yeah. Rome.
Emperor of Rome.
Emperor of
mate.
Rome.
Yeah.
Was he? What, before Julius Caesar? Or?
Later, was
No, Julius Caesar was late.
Yeah, he was. Julius
the
Caesar
reign.
came after.
Really? I thought he was one of the. I thought he was early. I always
just
when I
Googled
think
it
of
rather
ancient
than
Rome, I
looked at
think
when
of
was Marcus
Julius
Aurelius?
Caesar.
Like 150-ish AD? And maybe
100 BC.
I remember
Yeah.
the.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
so he's well after 200 years after.
yeah, 120 AD.
Yeah, okay, that's my bad.
But yeah, he obviously wrote a lot of these meditations, these thoughts to himself without expecting them to ever be published. He was one of those people that he wasn't writing for them to be books, to communicate to people. They were like thoughts to himself. And like you said, he was just like, deep down, he all thought we had a duty to be just and fair and a good person, which as a ruler with like almost unlimited power is pretty rare to come by.
But isn't it also quite interesting that he thought that, but would just conquer the world?
Yeah, but
That was his duty as emperor, though. He was just trying. He was
To expand the Roman
Standing
Empire.
Empire. And I think a lot
So
of
he was
people
doing his
underneath him
job.
thought that he was a great man to them. He was very just. He was a very just and fair ruler.
He also
which was
created a
very,
lot of better worlds, though, didn't he, in the Roman Empire? Like he brought farming to Britain.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But the character obviously it's not historically accurate or whatnot, but like the whole point in Gladiator is like he's this incredible Roman emperor, and he's just
Killed by
the
his
nicest person as well.
Yeah, I always think about the line where he says to Maximus, and he says, essentially, "Will you become the ruler of Rome?" And he says, "With all my heart, no." And Marcus
why it
Aurelius
must be you.
turns around and says,
It must be
and
you,
that is
Maximus.
exactly why it must be you.
Yeah.
Like you're a good ruler, not because you want the power and the wealth and stuff, but because you're fundamentally a
And
good
Commodus the
person.
bastard. He's one of my most hated characters of all time.
But fantastic
Joaquin.
performance.
Yeah, Joaquin. But he's top 3 most hated characters of all time. Him and Joffrey.
He's unbelievable like that, though, isn't he? Really.
You never seen Gladiator? Never seen Gladiator.
Oh, that's homework,
so
mate.
need
You
to
got to
watch
watch
it.
that.
It's my favourite film
Probably
of all
top
time.
5 films of all time.
Yeah.
My favourite film of all time.
No, I'm just
I've
being
never seen it.
generally.
You'll
Oh,
love it.
Tom.
Who's in it?
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe is the main guy. And Joaquin Phoenix.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt's not in it, no.
Do you like
mate,
Troy?
First time.
I've never seen that.
What?
Type in Brad Pitt and Troy,
Oh,
bro.
Achilles.
Man Crush Monday.
They're not,
Literally the
they're not my
goat,
type of films, these.
Nah,
Oh,
like,
honestly,
mate,
if you like
Gladiator's
Brad Pitt-
Brad Pitt
one
in
of the best films ever made.
I just
There's
think
this-
when he takes down Boaguius.
There's
man,
this
that's
like scene at the start of this where he goes to fight this essentially giant man.
absolutely
And
massive.
he's like riding off on a horse with his sword. And this kid just goes like, "Are you going to fight?" Oh, what was his name? It's like a Goliath type.
Boaguius
Goliath
was the
type.
guy that he was playing, right? Oh, the guy who was fighting.
The guy's
runs it-
fighting.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
Giant
he's
on.
fighting this absolute giant man, and this kid comes up to him and he goes like, "Are you going off to fight this giant man?"
There you go.
And he goes like, "Yes." And the kid goes, "He's huge. Like I wouldn't want to fight him." And he goes, "That is why no one will ever remember your name." And then Callum's like, "Oh, there he is, absolute unit."
Yeah, massive.
It's
mate.
so sick.
Nice.
It's just he's just.
We
always
won't tell
sick.
you what happens, but he does a little number on it.
Also,
probably
don't
won't
forget
watch
to look out for the plane in one of the scenes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, is that true? Or was that just in a thumbnail?
they let a plane.
They let a plane. They didn't shut down airspace for it in Troy. Yeah, I see this, but I don't know if it's. Yeah, there's a plane in the background.
So it's not Gladiator. it's not-
Gladiator.
That's just the Gladiator one's clickbait. It's in Troy.
Yeah, that's the.
Oh, you got to see Gladiator, Tom. It's one of the best films ever.
Yeah. Out of the 2, definitely go Gladiator.
I might do.
Banger. Now
There's
you've got to watch them both.
Marcus Aurelius, go.
Huh?
Go. I'll
Yeah.
Is Gladiator the one where he's
so.
like, are you not entertained?
Yeah.
Yes.
So wait, and just
Oh,
before, because
so
there are a couple. So obviously, like massively stoic. He's one of the people that was like, you just need to just forget about the stuff you can't control.
Who's
All you-
this?
Marcus Aurelius. They were like, all you can focus
That's
on,
not surgery.
all you need to be concerned about is
Yeah.
like your actions, your response to things.
Yeah.
Like staying calm in the face of anger, like stress, pain, all that kind of stuff was really cool. So like,
Yeah, I like the sound of him.
it's cool.
I relate to Marcus.
But my favorite thing in meditations is this kind of like meta idea of like obviously at the time, like everyone's like constantly having these debates. Like, how can you be a good man? Is it like being loyal? Is it being wise? Is it being strong? Is it all this kind of stuff? And he said, waste no more time discussing what a good man should be one.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool. Just being like, all you guys who sit around and drink all night.
So
Maury's mock.
Actually,
well, right?
Why do you know so much about philosophers? Just your own research, or did you?
I just like reading.
You didn't study that at uni, or not?
No, I didn't study it. I read Meditations only quite recently, actually.
Oh, nice.
Only finished a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, shout out Marcus Aurelius.
It's the kind of thing that I just find super interesting. Like, obviously,
It is.
especially now we're influencers.
If you had to tell me to read a philosophy/stoicism book,
Meditations.
Meditations is probably like an all-timer.
That's the number one.
You will infinitely live a happier life and be a better man for reading it, like, comfortably.
To be fair, Ryan Holiday actually
quite short.
breaks everything down quite well in terms of like a new age way of reading things.
What's it called again?
Ryan Holiday. He does the Daily Stoic. So you know the 300.
No, what's the book called?
Oh, Meditation.
Oh, Marcus Aurelius Meditations. You can get it as an audiobook, and if you're just like going on walks or cycling, just plop it on. It's very interesting.
So who's the last one?
Baros Spinoza.
Oh,
Oh, he's this little bastard all about then.
Cucurella.
He grew up Jewish and essentially challenged the ideas of traditional religion.
his own faith.
Kind of. He essentially said that God wasn't personal. He didn't judge us. There was no afterlife. He wasn't a person watching us, like telling us to take up the holy sword and like have sex with these particular people in this particular way and all this kind of stuff. He thought it was all kind of nonsense. He thought that God was he was a pantheist, so this kind of unifying idea of like God. God for him was essentially synonymous with like nature and the universe and the cosmos.
Got you.
And all this kind of stuff. And so when people quote Einstein talking about God, Einstein believed in Spinoza's God, this idea that, you know, like God is just like a fundamental
universe.
essence. It's
Like
not
an entity.
it's not like a person thing. Like it's
guy in
not
the sky.
personal.
It's not like an actual man just in the sky.
Yeah.
It's
Who's going to reward us? And
it's a broader concept, I suppose.
Yeah. And
God is life.
Which does imply that you are part of.
yeah.
Well, I am a
God
god.
is very much part of you. And obviously, like his whole thing was like we should live off reason and what we can like reason among us. And I think it's so fundamental to, in the modern times, how to be a good person and how to do the right things is to think logically and reasonably. And he kind of was like, you know, these ancient texts that a lot of people look to for moral guidance, sure, there's a lot of beauty and wisdom in them, but there's also a lot of error. And if you think about it logically and reasonably, you can see that, and you can actually be a better person by living through reason and, you know, critical thinking than you can by abiding by tradition and, you know, other people's thoughts and stuff. So really good, really interesting, but also he didn't believe in free will, which I know you guys back.
Bit weird.
So he was a determinist.
Let's get him out.
So he believes everything's already determined.
Essentially, yeah.
Is that by the nature that God is just everything in the universe, therefore the future of that is already decided?
Yeah, it's already, it's like, so do you disagree with this?
Yes.
How come?
Everyone's got free will. This is the bit that pisses me off. Like,
Yeah, so why does it piss you? How much did you speak about this with Batch?
You deepen it too much. He was like, yeah, but you were always going to say that. I was like, it's not though.
How do you know it's not?
Because I know, and I don't need to. Otherwise,
My thing with it is, if we didn't have free will, we wouldn't argue about having free will.
Why?
Because if it's already surely if everything's already determined for us, we wouldn't challenge the concept of it. That's also why I think there's a valid argument for God not existing, because if God did exist, why would he make us for millions of people not to believe in him or said person?
That is the free will argument against the existence of God. That is a big argument against God, going like, if God knows everything that's going to happen and also set everything in motion and nothing happens without God willing it, how is someone like Jeffrey Dahmer, who was like built, he obviously had some sort of maybe genetic taste for killing because his dad had it. You know, the combination between his like brain chemistry and lived experiences meant that he was going to go on to murder. If God created him like that, knew he was going to be like that, could have made him a different way because God's all powerful, but chose to make him that way. Although Jeffrey Dahmer like made those choices, God made him the type of person that wanted to make those choices. So how can he ever get punished for it? How's that moral? How's that right? How's that? So that's like a massive argument against God, and a big reason why a lot of people don't believe in God.
Do you not think there is also like, if we didn't have free will, then we're all just puppets living in like this play that is just happening around us. And if you don't believe in free will, you could just sit there and wait for things to happen because something's going to be planned for me. You could just sit on the
I think
sofa.
you slightly mistake
but
a lot
but
of
that's
what
my point. If you
the
believe
idea
in free,
of
if you believe,
is.
no, I know, but I get what you mean. But if you really believe in your own free will, then you'll have way more of a desire to go out and make things happen.
But your desire doesn't change. So like as a person, either want like you'll have a drive to be successful than say a lot of people other people won't.
That drive comes and goes.
Yeah, it does. And so I mean, it really depends on what you mean by free will. A lot of this argument comes down to whether you're defining it as uncaused or voluntary. So if you mean free will is like, I can go and get a Coke, I can leave this podcast right now if I want to and go get a Coca-Cola. Like that would be voluntary for me. I can choose to do it. A lot of people, especially in philosophy, kind of the idea of free will is that it's kind of like uncaused. And the idea is the lack of free will idea is that everything is caused. Like everything that happens has a prior cause, which has a prior cause, which has a prior cause, that all goes back to the Big Bang. And every instance of facts in the universe is the inevitable consequence of the previous instance in the universe. So like we're getting onto this conversation because we all find this interesting. We're all interested in it. You guys have a podcast. And why do you have a podcast? Because you're the type of people that, you know, maybe you're born more entrepreneurial and you're born into a civilization where, you know, podcasting is a thing. And so
not the case. I was forced into YouTube.
I know you weren't forced into it, but it was just an inevitability. Like
you didn't have free will.
All of the causes that led up to you becoming an influencer, like you're an influencer because of these causes, and these causes have a cause, and those causes have a cause.
That's my point. But everyone, and your argument is you're always going to do it anyway.
Yeah. So what?
But like, that's just. Do you not think?
What do you actually believe? Because you're just explaining the idea.
He doesn't believe.
Yeah. So I also think that it's almost impossible when you really look into it to believe that we have free will in terms of it's not caused in a chain of reaction. Like, I think if you speak to most people that have like read about this, or physicists who are,
that's fucking interesting.
It's very difficult to come to the conclusion that we have any actual choice that isn't just predetermined as a chain.
Right.
But that's just because of these books and stuff you've been reading in literature, rather than just like actually going off how you feel and how you live in the real world.
No, but not going off how you feel, because when you engage with it,
if you never read those books,
yeah,
you wouldn't have that knowledge. You wouldn't.
I wouldn't think about it. True, but just because I wouldn't think about it doesn't mean that it's not true.
You could say that about a lot of things, though, couldn't you?
And you can engage with literature that like, says that the opposite, and that we have a soul, and then it causes us. Yeah, of course. Like I spend a lot of time, like in theology.
But no one's right on this. You can't sit and tell me you're right that there is no free will.
No, but I think
no, you can't. I can't sit there and tell him he isn't right.
His opinion,
it's his opinion, isn't it?
No, but he was about to. Were you about to argue that though?
He thinks that's right, though.
He was though.
But I think with the knowledge that you acquire, it's perhaps the reasonable belief is to believe that we don't have free will in
your opinion,
uncaused. In my opinion, yeah.
And I think
so. Like I struggle. Do you think you can argue that we have free will?
I think I just choose to accept that we have free will.
So you're doing what people. So
I don't know. I haven't read the books that will give me the argument.
You don't need to. A lot of philosophers.
I struggle to articulate my thoughts.
The point is, we have the illusion of free will, and that's all that matters. So
the illusion
most of the people that would say that are determinists, that think that everything is predetermined, that they're all a result of causal chains, you kind of have to accept that we have the illusion of free will for things like moral accountability. You know, let's say for Jeffrey Dahmer. You can almost, through this lens, pity him a little bit by going like, you've got this fucked brain chemistry evidence.
No, that's such a cop-out.
Okay, you know what?
He chose to do that.
Okay, let.
No, but I don't want to get really... It's a bit like, I strongly believe, like, paedophiles have something wrong, like they're mentally ill. Like there's obviously something, but that they don't choose to be attracted to kids, do they?
That'll be a lot of 99% of the time.
Jeffrey Dahmer didn't choose. Jeffrey Dahmer didn't choose to want to eat people, did he?
No, but like, his upbringing was a result.
Murderers don't choose to just, when I grow up, I want to kill people. Arthur's arguing something's led to that.
But for example,
it's out of their control, therefore you don't have free will.
Jeffrey Dahmer's a bad example because his father was a murderer. So he's grown up with this ideology of
I don't think his dad murdered anyone, did he? He just had this, he said to him, like, I know.
So exactly. So if that had never happened, chances are I probably would have.
Okay, how about this one? Because this is a nice middle ground to for you to tip over the fence one way or another. Let's say tomorrow your dad gets a brain tumor that just destroys the part of his brain that gives him empathy and essentially turns him into a murderer.
Yeah.
And tomorrow he goes on a murder spree. And the doctors, you know, he dies, they have an autopsy and they go, oh, we've looked at his brain. He ended up having this tumor that just wiped out everything that made him not want to kill, like affected his brain chemistry. Do you think he's as evil as someone like Jeffrey Dahmer still? Do you go, my dad was as evil as Jeffrey Dahmer if he did, let's say he did all the same things, but it was caused by the brain tumor?
Well, in some ways, yes, but I'd say no.
Why no?
Because of the biological change. It's out of his control.
It's out of his control.
But that's what we're arguing about Dahmer. It was out of his control because there's whatever was wrong with him in his head.
Have they tested his brain?
He still made the, but you don't.
But my point is
to be like
that's a very physiological change happened overnight, which is unrealistic. Whereas Dahmer was raised in this household and had all these different factors affecting him. It's not just one thing or the other. There's a multitude of factors that affect you.
It's a bit like people who sexually assault people when they're older got sexually assaulted when they were younger.
Yeah, that's my point. It's literally my point.
And I'm not. No one's condoning that. I'm saying
this
that's
isn't
okay.
a defense of them or anything.
But the point he's making is that that's technically out of their control.
Yeah.
Because of
but do you not think that
prior things? I'm not saying it's okay.
A lot of these cases, the person in trouble will sit down with the lawyer and be like, "Yeah, we should claim being crazy and try and get off."
True, but
then they're using that.
I don't know what's that got to do with what.
That's not related to the free will argument, though.
But they use their argument of like, oh yeah, my brain chemistry's off. That's why I did all this stuff. They're using that.
Yeah,
as
but that doesn't
argument.
mean they're any less culpable. It's why you still go to prison. You just go to an.
Yeah, they do. They are still guilty if they kill all the people.
And it's important that, like, just because we necessarily don't have free will.
What are you talking about?
You said to me they're all still guilty if they kill people. I said, obviously.
I do think you make a lot of interesting points. I do think it's quite interesting to think that realistically, people who do commit these atrocities or whatever, like if you really think about it in that way, it's not their fault. But then you don't want. But then you also don't want to think like that because then you're like, it's almost like you feel like you're.
But even if Dahmer had these urges, right, he still acted on them.
Yeah, he did.
So many people have urges.
But we're not saying that he should
trying to make is like
free.
The subject is different because they're trying to argue that Dahmer was already predisposed to doing this.
Yeah,
he's still a guilty person. He still did horrible things.
He's still a piece of shit, and he deserved to be like killed
I know, you're
or whatever.
saying he was always going to do it.
But based on what happened,
based on his theory of the.
What's your issue with that?
No, I don't have.
We can still say that he was always going to do that. So, like for Dahmer, you go like, okay, well,
But you're saying he was predetermined to do it.
Yeah, he might have been predetermined to do it.
I said he's still chosen to do it.
He still made the voluntary choice, but it's so again, this is why it's important to make the distinction on free will and whether you're talking voluntary or uncaused, because you can make something voluntarily, like he does, which is why he's culpable, but that's caused by a causal chain. So that it really depends on where you're getting free will, but you can still say like, we can voluntarily as a society, even though that was predetermined, say that, well, next time someone has a voluntary choice to kill or not kill, we want to put them off. So we should make murder illegal. So we'll put them in prison. And also if Dahmer's predetermined to kill, we should make sure that he's in prison to protect our population from killing anyone else. So we can still have justice and, you know, deal with him appropriately.
And then also you
through this lens. It's not, he doesn't escape
you say that
justice,
predetermination stuff, but if you said, he's predetermined to kill and you put him in prison before he's killed, that's unfair on him because he hasn't killed.
But we don't know that. What you're on about? Until he does it, you don't know that, do you?
No, but he's saying it as the example.
He's saying there was always going to be a point where
But I'm saying that is fair because, like I said, the fairness comes from the fact that he's likely to kill again. He's done it, and we also need it to be something that puts people off doing it in future. Like there are a lot of reasons to put him in other than going like, you know, they don't escape this moral culpability just because it's the inevitable consequences of a causal chain, because justice would also be inevitable consequences of a causal chain. But it definitely does make you look at people like that somewhat differently. Almost like when, you know, a lion rampages or like an elephant rampages through a village and you're kind of like, oh, well, you know.
Or a shark attacks someone and it's like, well, were in their you're in their home.
Like, do you think free will, is this all across the whole world?
You have to agree with him.
But it would be interesting. You can disagree.
No, he disagree. I'm arguing for you here.
I was about to ask a completely different question.
Go on.
Go on.
I was going to say, do you think it exists across the whole world in the animal kingdom as well?
All species.
Or is it just
Well, I don't think exists at all. What do you mean?
No,
Yeah, do you think free will?
You don't believe in free will. Do you believe that in all
just
species?
humans or just all species?
What? So are you asking if I think free will doesn't exist in humans, but it exists in monkeys?
Yeah, like lions or anything like that.
No, I think the whole world, everything in the entire world is just physics in motion.
That's fucking. I think that's really interesting.
It's one domino falling into another domino.
I don't think I agree,
complex,
but
yeah.
I agree more after I've heard it.
That'd either send you one way or the other, like a fork.
Can you think of a voluntary?
No, but you see, I don't think of it like that. It's like people who go, oh, if you don't believe in an afterlife, like I don't, what's the point of living? Well, because I
want to have
I think I'm here for this short amount of time. Let's make the most of it, blah blah, and then so be it. Then I don't exist. I don't look at it like, even if I don't have free will, so what? Like just I kind of like to see what's going to happen anyway. Like I think you can think about these things and have an interesting convo without getting too caught up and worried about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? I think it's
you can have. I think you can have free will, but you can also have your instinct as well. Like especially in the animal kingdom, like with a lion or whatever like that.
Why do you keep bringing lions up?
Because isn't it like lion's instinct is to kill.
Yeah.
Is to kill, and it's not like the lion was always going to kill this hyena on this day.
It was, but go on.
I must admit, when Batch come in and said that, I was like, no, I believe in free will, but we didn't really delve into it. But after listening to you do make sense.
But
they are good arguments.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I agree with it, but they are good arguments.
For is also the argument against.
So hold on, yeah, because I mean,
it's the same argument for or against.
Saying you disagree. So can you think of something where you have exercised your free will that had no prior cause?
But whatever I say, you will say the exact opposite. So it doesn't. That's my point. It's the same argument.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same argument for and against.
No, test it. I'm interested.
No, because it doesn't matter what I say. Because
it's just to me, because I'm trying to work it out. I'm trying to figure it out.
No, I know, but it doesn't matter what I say, but what argument, because all he has to do is be like, yeah, but that's always going to happen.
But as in,
do you see what I mean?
As in, if
I'll just say,
you think you've got free will now. You think you've got free will now, right? Make a choice. Like, pick a. There you go. Okay, pick left or right on my hands right now, right?
No, I went like that instead. I'm not going to pick.
Okay, fine, whatever.
I'm not going to pick.
So you're doing that.
Free will. But you say
you can clearly see the chain of causation there, like the You're doing that because you want to make a point because you disagree with.
What did he do? What did he do?
He went,
okay, right.
He did a weird gesture.
But just as much as you can say there's a cause and a chain of that always happening, right?
Yeah.
You can also just say like, yeah, he's chosen to do that after seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a cause. That's a chain of cause.
No, but it's also just free will. So you're saying that I'm wrong. That's what you're saying. But
I'm saying
no one could be wrong or right in this scenario.
I'm saying you were never not going to do that.
Yeah, but that's my point. So you're saying you're right and I'm wrong.
In
but
his
you
opinion,
can't be right or wrong.
Yeah, they're just different beliefs. Yeah.
Surely fundamentally, someone we don't know who's right or wrong, but someone must be right or wrong.
Is telling me that I'm wrong.
If he was right in thinking that's how the world works, everyone would also agree to that idea, wouldn't they?
Oh, my brain's frazzled.
You see what I'm saying now?
But as in, like, most people don't really think about it.
It is
but at the same time, it would be a more. What's the word? I'm trying to think. Like a more general idea.
I think
what is in quite generally accepted we don't have free will.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying. I think it generally is in terms of. I think most people are this kind of like compatibilist of going like everything is caused and it's all the result of a chain of cause, but we have this like free will of illusion.
I think you are doing. I think do you think the world would be a better place if everyone believed in free will or didn't believe?
I actually don't think it makes any difference because we have the illusion of free will anyway. So in a Theo sense, in all practically speaking, we have free will in terms of we can choose whatever we want to choose. But I just think there's no use in. I think the main use in it, right, is similar to what Batch said. It's all about regrets and stuff, looking back and going like, I really wish, let's say, for example, like, you know, I didn't get into the university that I wanted to get into because I failed the interview because I didn't prepare enough because I chose to study rather than put like an immense amount of time into preparing for the interview. I can look back and I just think it's a waste of time going like, I wish I'd studied more. Because I was never going to. I'm always the type of person that prioritizes exams, all that kind of stuff.
You've been lazy.
But it's not cop out because it's only going to benefit me because I'm not wasting any time going, all I can do is learn from
your What are your views on
Yeah, but hang on.
What are your views
You
on,
can't learn from it though, because
You can learn from it.
No, you can't, because you're claiming that no matter what happens, that was already predetermined. So there's no point in you learning from it, because it's already predetermined what you're going to do in the future.
This is a mistake in terms of I still have the voluntary choice to learn from it, so I can still look back and learn from it. And it's that's going to be uncaused.
But every voluntary choice is free will, but you're saying it's not.
Yeah, because I don't actually think, when you're sitting there going, I'm choosing between these two, okay, I'm going to go with A over B. I think
You're always going to go
there's
for
a
A.
chain of things that lead you to A inevitably. And you picking A is
What are
inevitable.
your thoughts on choosing something that's purely chance-based then?
Like what?
Well, like a roulette table, for example.
Yeah, see, I think everything, even coming down to how hard they throw the ball and how many times it will whip around,
Crazy.
is all. But honestly, if you,
Someone's life is built up to how fast they throw the ball around. Which
But
makes
I
you
think
win
you're
all
giving-
the-
but like there was never going to be. They were never going to throw it even harder. Or
I
even
kind of
softer.
get it though, because it could be the person throwing it could have everything in their life led up to them maybe having an energy drink before their shift, so therefore they're all more amped up, so they throw it harder.
Every single thing has a cause that is
Billions
the
and billions of
inevitable
butterfly
consequence.
effects.
I do get it. I do understand.
Yeah. So that's why it's
cool.
an idea that
Cool.
people do believe.
And so,
I
yeah,
think if everyone in the world believed in that and not free will, I think it would be a really bad world, because I think you're giving too much credit to the human race.
no,
I think a lot of
because
people would become lazy.
I think you go on a weird.
I think I'm weird for the way I
You
think.
derive a conclusion from it that I don't think necessarily follows.
No, but I think that's what would happen. If you realistically, I think a lot of people would think like that.
Okay, so
would care less about everything.
Yeah.
Think like what? Why would you?
And
so why would you care
their
less?
responsibilities for.
Do you think his opinion on that is also weird?
So why would you care less? So let's say, for example, I think everything is a
Just
cause.
ignoring that.
Everything is a causal
You
chain,
disagreed
right?
with me.
I do agree. I think
Yeah.
there is an element of free will. I think
your opinion's weird.
I think soft predeterminism is probably the part of the spectrum that I'm on.
Okay.
No, I don't believe fully that. I think it's crazy to even put everything that's chance-based down to some sort of cause and effect into the world.
Even like throwing a dice, like the second you release, it's always going to land on that number.
Okay, what
Because
about
it
dice
weighs down
app?
and it spins so much.
When you press
Same
it,
thing.
it doesn't affect it. The
What
way
do you
you
mean?
press on the dice app doesn't affect what number you're going to get.
Yeah, but there's a chain of causation in there in terms of the way the app works, the way the software runs.
But random does exist.
Random exists on a quantum level.
So there you go.
So that must imply that at some stage larger it's.
See what I mean?
But even when you get down to the quantum level, whether it's random, whether you choose A or B, that random event isn't your free will, but it's just
If you
chance.
were on this list, I'll put you in deep sit too much.
I would agree that's deep, because I don't think there's much practical use of it. I don't think there's any use of it going forwards. I don't think anyone,
Yeah.
if you think about it properly, would like change the way they live, because I still live a certain life. I still have certain desires of what I want to achieve in life, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to be motivated regardless whether it's.
I imagine it relinquishes a
Don't hurt
certain
me.
amount of stress because you're just like, well,
It makes you.
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen anyway.
It make-
So
yeah, and
But
it makes
also-
you very stoic with the past, because you don't waste that much time going like, I wish I had done something different. You just go like, I'm a human. I make mistakes. I've messed up. I've done something wrong. I've done something bad or whatever. All I can do going forwards is go, what have I learned from it? How can I be a better person next time? How can I apply what I regret in terms of the next experience?
But some
And that's-
people
that's a
be
good
out there
thing.
saying, this is how I will act. I'm just going to act like this because this is how I'm meant to act.
yeah,
And it's an excuse, though,
yeah.
to be a dick.
But they're not free from the
It's
consequences.
true, though, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
someone would think, there are many people in the world who would think
But
like
you
that.
can turn around. But you can turn around. Let's say there's a guy over there, and his name's Dominic, and he goes like, "I'm a dick, and that's just the way I'm determined." Cool. It might be predetermined, but we can still choose to not hang out with you. We can still call you a dick to your face. You know, if you push me against the wall, I can still punch you in the face just because it's all predetermined. Like, it doesn't mean you're free from the consequences of your actions. Just that they're on cause. They're cause too.
But he has a choice. He could just not act like that.
Yeah, it's voluntary, but whether or not he acts like that is predetermined and has a chain of causation.
No, but
anyway,
all you can do
tell you what,
to end this conversation, all you can say is no one's right. And not even you, Arthur.
yeah, I don't know that I'm right for sure. I'm just convinced of this position.
Convinced.
Yeah.
He's
I don't know
can't be
anything
convinced.
other
Good
than that
argument.
I exist.
He's put up some good arguments.
No, I know.
must say.
I wish I had the
This is definitely the most intelligent podcast we've done
or
so far.
unintelligent.
Tell you what,
Yeah, depending on which side of the fence you sit. Yeah.
I will say I'm in the middle of a book by Dan Barker called Free Will Explained, and I think it's fascinating. It's not that long. It's about a 4-hour audiobook. Again, if you have a half an hour cycle, if you have a half an hour cycle, well, like if I have a half an hour cycle home, that's why I say it.
Yeah.
That's, you know, and I do that 8 times in a week. That's my 4-hour book done. I've read a book.
You've been hoodwinked here,
and it's whilst I'm cycling.
He's got these ideas fresh in his mind.
I'm a big audible
and he believes in free will, does he?
So he kind of thinks that he's the same, like kind of accepts that everything is predetermined,
Right.
but we need to be compatibilist in terms of like, we need to accept that free will exists for like moral accountability.
Right.
So like, you know, so it's interesting, and I might change my mind, and I think with everything, I'm open to, you know, if you present an argument that's strong enough, that's stronger than mine, I'll change my mind on it.
Yeah.
My issue is that I can't, so I just have to accept.
But if you find this interesting, go read the Dan Barker book, because I think it's really good.
Damn.
Check out the Bachelor After podcast.
Yeah.
Right, we've got some listener questions anyway. If we'll wheel these off pretty quick.
Let's bring the podcast back down to how it should be.
Okay, so we've asked our loyal listeners and viewers to get in touch and ask you a question.
Right.
This is what we got. Why have you agreed to this?
I had no choice.
He was always predetermined. He was always going to say yes.
He's always coming on, guys.
I love these kind of chats. I mean, this is what it's all about. This is why I love philosophy. I like.
Well, we really don't do this very often. So
No,
Have a
but
whole philosophy segment.
that's been a long
I think
while.
you guys have all individually with me, like, shown that you love having these kind of conversations. Like,
Yeah.
whenever we hang out and get drunk, we often have these kind of conversations.
But we were always going to have those
I
conversations.
like you boys. You're entertaining. You have good takes on things. You have different opinions to me, which I find really interesting exploring. And I have a good time and hang out with you guys. That's it.
Damn, you're very media trained.
Media train? You think I'm lying?
No, he means that.
It's true. Do you mean that?
Tom sent in chicken nugget sandwich or fish finger sandwich.
This wasn't me.
It says from Tom.
Big finger, innit?
Chicken nuggets.
Sarnie's unreal.
I love a fish finger sarnie, man.
I think fish finger sandwich versus chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets on their own.
Chicken nugget sandwich. Who's having that?
That's weird. A fish finger sandwich is definitely like.
Too much carbs for me. I don't like.
But the breadcrumbs go out with the bread, don't they?
What, a sandwich is too much carbs?
If you go to like some pubs, some
like the chicken
fancy
and the fish
pubs
already
do
have
like a
it.
fancy fish finger.
Yeah.
Well, hang on a
sarnie, they're
second.
unreal.
And
Tell you what,
you're sure
what
you
with
didn't.
salad with like lettuce and tomato.
No, so it'll be like a nice. It'll be like a nice,
finger
probably
sandwich is too much
toasted
carbs.
sourdough with like fish fingers, tartar sauce, and it's just.
Nah, ketchup,
It's
not
not like.
Yeah.
Fish finger sandwiches when I was growing up were just like 2 pieces of white bread with like with a
A bird's
fucking
eye fish-
a
I
bird's
love
eye
that.
oven, which
the
is
best.
nice, but you
Especially
can.
when you squish it flat.
But now
Yeah.
I've leveled up in life. I get like
You've
popcorn.
had a fish finger wrap.
I've had a fish finger
Oh,
up my
no, that
arse.
sounds
No.
good.
Yeah, great.
Tell you what,
Where'd you get that from?
I did a video
Make it.
the other day with
Okay,
Jet.
sorry.
We did like testing influencer products, and I used the George Foreman grill for the first time.
Oh, they're unreal.
They're unreal.
I've
Yeah.
had one for like 10 years. Yeah, they're
Foreman
unreal.
grills are class.
I need to get one. And
You know who
Yeah,
George Foreman is?
yeah, the boxer. He died recently, didn't
Yeah.
he? R.I.P. Heavyweight champion of the world 2 times.
Did you know? Apparently, that was. I think he was a bit skint, and someone said, "Can we just put your name on it?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
like his invention, and like he thought of, and then
This class
it
grill.
just made him absolute
Yeah,
millions.
I think someone was like sending him products that we need to just put your name. on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
product.
yeah.
And he ignored them all. And his wife came to him and was like, "By the way, I've opened up some of your things. We've been using this grill for months. Put your name on it. You're going to be minted. It's sick." And then he did.
So
No
good.
way.
They
But
actually
That's
are
made
so
me
good.
really want a toasted fish finger wrap.
Yeah, go do it.
Might go get a George Foreman.
What
grill
is
on
your
it, yeah.
philosophical? What the fuck?
Philosophical.
Opinion on the brutal axing of the McDonald's triple cheese? What's that?
Oh, they got
More
rid of it.
Importantly, they got rid of the chicken legend.
What the fuck's a triple cheese?
I imagine it's like a
Triple
cheese
cheeseburger.
toasty, isn't it?
Oh, a triple cheeseburger. Oh,
Oh, no way. They got rid of it.
It is a bit
hell?
mental that they had it in the first place.
I'm not really a McDonald's enjoyer. I don't really ever eat there.
Trouble
No.
for you.
Oh my God, they got rid of it. Oh, that's
Triple cheeseburger.
horrendous news. I've only just found
Why is
out.
that really good?
Oh, it's so good.
Is it?
Yeah.
a double.
Because they have so much cheese in between.
Double
as well.
I don't like it. I like a burger. When I make burgers at home, I really like them being one thin,
Oh, a thin.
like thin burger. So like in
No,
one,
mate.
I hate thick burgers.
I hate thick burgers. When I want to
Five
get like
Guys.
Yeah,
one
but
mouthful
in a
of
triple
everything.
cheeseburger, they're all thin.
You remember
layers.
it takes
They're
off-
not
No,
like
I know.
It takes Arthur a long time to eat one burger.
big. It does actually.
I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
one bite to be like lettuce, tomato, bacon, onion, meat patty, but like very squished, like smash burgers. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah,
like.
yeah.
Smash burgers
I
aren't
prefer
Five
them
Guys.
to the. You know when you go to a restaurant and it's got like a stick.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, they're
and
just
you're
too
like,
much
I
admin.
can't put my head.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
I either
yeah,
get
yeah.
a bit of bread and a bit of meat, a bit
Yeah,
of lettuce.
I do
and
agree with that.
And you're like, fucking, just smash it into
Yeah.
one big thing.
You
Get the hydraulic press out.
Also, was it Nathan, mate? If you just go to McDonald's, you can ask them to add another patty and just do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm about
customise
to
it, just
spend
put one
24 hours in McDonald's. So.
What's the weirdest obsession you've ever had? And don't say watching Tom Garratt videos.
weirdest obsession? Probably, this is my current sea monkey obsession.
Sea monkeys?
Sea monkeys.
What are they?
Sea monkeys.
They're what? You know, you essentially buy these things and you get a little. Do you never have sea monkeys growing
I've
up?
never heard of a sea
Crazy. You're
monkey.
from the UK.
Ubiquitous when I was growing up.
Yeah, they're like in a little tank and they develop into
I've
these little.
never. I had them alien things in the jelly, whatever.
You're like 10 years old.
These are real. But so again, it was another chip video. We did like testing like kids' toys or something, and I took the
Sea monkeys home.
I took the sea monkeys home.
What actually are they?
Are these
What's the
euphemisms?
creatures?
No, so basically, this invented decades ago. Like, you remember ant farms were a big thing?
Yeah, I remember ant farms.
Especially in America.
Shrimp.
They're brine shrimp.
Yeah.
So he essentially, you get these salt lakes, right, where these shrimp live. It's super salty. Obviously, it's brine water. It's just salty water.
Mm-hmm.
And these lakes dry out completely, dry to the bone. And then when it rains again, when it gets wet season, they come back. And the shrimps are magically back.
Yeah.
When it rains, it
And
pours.
biologists were like, how the fuck is this happening? Turns out, when the water gets super salty, but meaning that the water's evaporating, the females lay eggs encased in this like brown encasing that when essentially it dries up, they can last in the sun for decades. And so when it rains again and the lakes refill, they then hatch and the brine shrimp are back. So it's really cool. And this inventor went, I can put these in little sachets. They can be stored dry for goodness knows how long, years and years. And kids can take them home, unzip the sachet, pour it in, add a bit of water.
Yeah.
They hatch and it's like instant life. And he ended up marketing it through like making these like calling them sea monkeys, like drawing them in comics, having like lives and towns. We've got some actually.
Do you know what
in the
are you
building?
familiar- Oh, okay, thank you.
That's
And yeah,
fucking
they're
cool,
just
man.
these brine shrimp. And actually, we've got some from we're probably a bit long to go get them, but our producers bought us a tank and they probably would have hatched by now and they've got like a Martian background. You've got them? Oh, can you please? And,
Well, in the meantime, while we wait for them,
I'll just say last night I had a nightmare, woke up in my nightmare, I put them into a big tank and I spilled it and they were all on the floor. And I woke up genuinely on the verge of tears.
Oh my God.
Just thinking that I had actually spilled them.
eventually your sea monkeys will die, though.
Well, so I'm creating. I'm building an aquarium for them where they're going to be self-sustaining.
That's the most
Forever.
awful thing
So
ever.
it's going to have a surface where algae grows, and then they eat the algae, poop it out. The algae takes it in. The algae grows, and it's a life cycle.
You're unique.
Wow.
Would you rather have fingers for toes or toes for fingers?
Fingers for toes, definitely.
Can I just say, in that
Fingers are
situation,
class.
right? Yeah, but they would die eventually, just of old age, wouldn't they?
But they'd mate and give birth, and
Oh, so you just mean the species?
Create a life
species. Yeah,
yes.
the
I was
sea
gonna
monkeys
say.
By
themselves
that
will only
point,
last a couple of months.
is it
couple
still the
of years.
ship of Theseus?
And also, like you've told me many a times, we are going to eventually never die.
Maybe. I don't think. I think we're probably not going to die, but
Would you rather shag an animal?
that's
or a
one for another.
family
That's
member?
I love
that's
that.
opening
I
up
love it
a whole
when we
new
talk
rabbit
about
hole.
That's not actually from anyone. That's just your.
What was it? Yeah.
Would you rather shag
You
an
guys
anim-
can answer these too, because I'm sure most people don't care about my opinion.
Am I going to live
Well, I
forever?
think we've
No, would you
answered
rather
these.
fingers for toes or toes for fingers?
Live forever.
Oh, monkeys have fingers for toes, so monkey.
Yeah.
Cool, isn't it?
Fingers
Yeah, I'd have
for toes,
fingers for
mate.
So
toes.
monkey, nice.
I'd actually prefer that.
Yeah.
Mate, you could
So
do
useful.
so much. You could actually do so much with.
Yeah, you actually
Fingers
could.
on the
Grab your
end of
bollocks with my feet.
Please.
Would you rather shag an animal or a family member? I'd rather shag an animal, I think.
Which one specifically?
What about like a long lost cousin?
Like a rabbit.
a rabbit?
A rabbit's too small, bro.
Dolphin. Surely a dolphin.
What, you got to breathe and bring it to
Oh,
the
that's
surface?
awful.
Nah, I'd go for like a. I don't know.
A chimp.
Oh, yeah, you could probably go for something like a blue whale that just wouldn't feel it.
Yeah, but
How big's a blue whale's
Is that
arse?
shagging it though?
What
at
are you
that point?
like? It depends what you prioritize.
No, but
if you
I-
want to reduce the suffering for the animal,
I
pick
couldn't
the
be near a
biggest
blue
one.
whale though. I'm very.
No, you could go under water and say, done it.
What's that thing? What's that
You
thing?
got thalassophobia,
What's that?
like scared of massive objects underwater, but that's more.
Or
Yeah.
massive objects, like especially animals. I
Yeah,
hate
yeah.
being near them.
Scared of
Okay,
big
that's
animals.
the
Oh,
word.
Tommy.
I couldn't be near a blue whale. That would freak me the
What about
fuck
like an
out.
elephant?
Oh no, elephant would be fine.
So when you
Just from the set.
So, I've just been informed that there was two, but they're now dead.
Oh,
where
no!
are they?
Oh no,
Where are
that's
they? Are
devastating.
they dead at the bottom?
Yeah, they're dead, mate. They're not
Can
in
you
there.
see their crusted bodies dying?
We haven't heard about this. This is your
Oh, that
first
is
time on the pod.
absolutely devastating. Poor bloke.
Where are
he's
they?
going to do a whole aquarium full of
See
them.
their dead bodies?
Oh, he's actually genuinely upset, guys.
They're not there.
Mate, your 2 little sea monkeys are dead. But I thought you get loads of them. Why you only got 2?
Yeah, why do you only get 2 in a thing?
They must have. You have to
Eating
be
each
quite
other.
careful with them. I think. Oh my.
You're a murderer.
No, it wasn't me. Our producers put them
Actually,
on their
it wasn't
desk.
me- it wasn't
And
even
I
your
think
producer.
Were they on the desk on the
Predetermined
top
to happen.
floor?
Yeah, unfortunately, mate,
They
that was
die
always
in
going to happen.
sunlight, so I think they will have just boiled alive.
Oh my god! Fucking hell!
Wait,
I knew I should have been
Arthur, don't
getting-
be so stupid now.
I didn't
Come
want
on.
to be so-
That water wouldn't have got to boiling point. They wouldn't have boiled to death.
No, it was in direct sunlight. Like it will
Like
not as
heat
in like
stroke.
it turns
Heat
to 100
stroke.
degrees.
A heat stroke.
And they will just get to your heart.
Boiling out the
to
top.
death.
That's almost worse though, because that would be longer.
Imagine dying of heat stroke.
Well, anyway, that was a very fun episode, I
that's
must say. Thank you for coming on.
Right,
Arthur.
man. We're
Yeah,
here
that
for
was
you.
really good
I
fun.
really enjoyed.
I can't tell if Theo enjoys it.
I loved it.
Yeah, he did.
Feels like you get angry at a lot of.
I wasn't angry.
No, not enough about it. You just kind of go like, no, I hate it when he says this. Oh, this again. I don't believe it.
Yeah,
you know what
yapping too
pisses me
much.
off?
Oh, anyway, thanks for 50k.
Joke.
Make sure you like, subscribe. You all know Arthur's. His stuff will be down below anyway.
Hey, Arthur.
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye. Not by yourself.
Thanks for watching, guys.
I feel really sad now, mate. I'm sorry
that's
that
actually such a
happened.
bummer.
Fuck 'em.
Mate, you can just buy another one.